From the air, that is Sebring. And a packed infield as ever. Jeremy, you're just shaking your head.
Yeah, it's fabulous.
Unbelievable. Let's go down to the pit lane. Romain Dumas has made a call onto the pit lane. Jamie Howe.
Yes, Romain Dumas gets out of the number 3 Audi and in goes Loic Duval. This is his first race stint for Audi Sport Team Joest. However, Loic Duval, he is a defending event winner. He did win here last year behind the wheel of the Oreca Peugeot. Peugeot Sport's gone away and Audi picked up Loic. He's very excited about this weekend. He knows his toughest competition was Audi, and now he is a part of it. Drick?
A little further down pit lane, I got the 016 car, the Dyson car that has come in. They're changing drivers. Stephen Kane getting in, Guy Smith getting out. Remember, this was the team that won the ALMS, the American Le Mans Series P1 Championship this year. Of course, now they're running with the WEC car, so it's a little tougher to run up front. Also to point out, this is a brand new car. They only got this car about a week and a half ago. So there's been a lot of thrashing, a lot of work that's been going on to try to get it right to the specs. It's been kind of a rough week for them overall, trying to keep it on the road and keep everything there. Not bad, all things considered, but they've just got this car, and now they're about to race for 12 hours.
So there is the 016 car. It'll be the 16 car for the rest of the year. 2 chassis been bought by Dyson for this season, and we will see the second car soon.
There was a note about that earlier on in the weekend, actually. I think Michael Marsell and Eric Luxeng, isn't it, going to share that car for the balance of the season, I think, starting at Long Beach, wasn't it?
Yep, I think you might be right.
Great news.
Well, the safety car is off, and you heard the call. Green, 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 green. Almost looks like it caught 1 or 2 people out there as the 2 GT cars that are heading up the line are quickly disposed of by Nicola Prost, I think that is, in the Rebellion. Yes, that is correct.
Yeah, so it's Jamie Mellor there.
That's the 13. Sorry, that's the 13. That's back out again after it's travailed earlier on.
Jerome Blakemole at the wheel of that car has, as you say, a lengthy delay. They lost about almost 30 laps to the leaders. There's a Falcon Tires car. It's running in second place on the road in GT, but they have just made a long pit stop a little while ago. Brian Sellers took over after a magnificent early stint by Wolf Henstedt to go from the pit lane after that engine change to actually lead the class. He complained of a vibration to Brian Sellers. He brought the car in, took it behind the wall, and found out the front engine mount was broken on that car. So that has been changed, and it's cost them about 15 laps over the GT leader. So once again, magnificent work by the Falcon team.
Did you see that Ferrari? That lost the rear end. And there's the Aston going wide as well now. Is there something down? Is it just dust or is it some fluid? Because the 59, the luxury racing car, was very sideways on entry there. Jamie Mellor in a masterful piece of driving with a grab of opposite lock.
It's the second place Corvette in GT, pretty close behind as you can see. Third place in the class is Marco Chiocci in the number 71 car for AF Corsa, and then in 4th place that amazing Aston Martin with Stefan Rucker still at the wheel. Adrian Fernandez not yet driven that car down, Turner started it, double stinted, and Stefan Rucker is doing the same.
Great to be able to see the GT cars out in front and having their own battles, not having to be, at the moment at least, embroiled with the prototypes, although they will of course filter through. Tom Christensen leads the motor race, by the way, by just a second from his teammate, and he took his teammate Treluet took 6/10 from him last time around. As through comes the Ryan Hunter-Reay P2 leader. That's the level 5 car. There is that 17 Falcon car. Very, very distinctive colour scheme in all forms of motorsport. Jeremy describing the problems with the engine mounts. Still a great job to get that car back out. And remember, and you know, we've said this before, but we'll repeat this right through for the next 9 hours, 4 minutes and 52 seconds. The ALMS competitors, yes, this is a big race, but there's a season on the line here and a championship, and because of the way that the structure of points is, you get more for this race because it's longer, so you can't afford to non-score or score badly in this race.
That's right, it's generally 20 points for a win in American Le Mans Series competition, but at the 2 longer races anything more than 6 hours in length, you get an extra 10 points. So you need to get those 10 points if you possibly can. It only goes to top 10 finishers in the class.
And it looks very much as though that after its problems that fault at Porsche is now picking up the pace again. There is the race leader carving his way through. The Aston's not that far behind. Looking in the back of the picture, there it is.
Yeah.
The blue and Etruscan Lurkio, yes, absolutely. There'll be people in Banbury who are absolutely delighted about the early running of this car, because that's a very, very heavily revised machine.
Yeah, I hope they're not annoyed at us being surprised by the pace of that car, because they know how hard they've worked on it to make it competitive, and everybody was saying
changes though, Jeremy. You don't know when they're going to work until you race it.
Absolutely. I was talking to Adrian Fernandez just a week or so ago, and he said, we're pretty optimistic here. We think this car is going to be competitive.
The red number 9 there, the purple background on the number designating prototype challenge, and that is the second place car with Gonzalez at the wheel. He's about 4 seconds back from the leader and deals with the 48 Paul Miller Racing car.
Well, we talked about at the top of the show, this team is RSR Racing, Rocket Sports Racing. Last year, Paul Gentilossi was running the Jaguars. We know what a miserable year they had. The Jaguar program not gone, technically on hiatus, and now Rocket Sports just 2 weeks ago decided, you know what, let's go racing, and they put this deal together.
Thanks very much, Rick. Oh, and there's been a big schmozzle at the exit of the corner. There's one of the ESM Ferraris has just hidden in behind the 28 Gulf Racing Middle East. Is that the Starworks car? Oh,
I think, is it the Muscle Milk?
It's the Muscle Milk PC.
PC car.
Absolutely it is. It sounds like the 51 has been involved as well. There it is. What an eventful race it's been for the Ferrari. Oh, that Muscle Milk number 8 car, right front damage to the suspension. And there's the ESM car coming in as well. On the exit of the corner, clearly 3 into 1 will not go. And all of those cars moving off under their own steam. So no cause for a safety car. And that is very, very good driving to get that car back. Just look on the right hand side, it's oh my goodness me, it's the Ferrari, the 2 Ferraris coming together, and then I'm afraid the Muscle Milk PC car had absolutely nowhere to go. The 28 car, the Gulf Middle East Racing car, an innocent bystander there, and I think just about got away with that without any damage. May have been the slightest tap right at the end of that.
Dean Sterling, that was, I think, clambering out of that car, wasn't it?
Yeah, Dean you can't blame Dean for that. He's committed to the corner. It's super quick round there, and look, it's clearly broken, and that's clearly broken too. That's the 0-1. Guy Cosmo had a problem with that earlier on. Scott Sharp, the team owner, now in that car.
Yeah, they had an alternator belt came off that car earlier on, plus Guy Cosmo was pushed off the road as well, so there's several delays on the 0-1 car, and that's certainly very disappointing for them. They came in with hugely high hopes for the whole of this week, and indeed the whole season, because that car, the Ferrari 458, is fast.
Well, that is not going to be the work of a moment. Well, it looks like that they're going to get that rear wheel sorted. I'm delighted to say that we've been joined by a very honoured guest in our ESPN booth. The president of the FIA, Jean Todt, has joined us. Welcome to Sebring. Your first visit?
Yes, thank you very much. It's my first visit, and I must say it's very enjoying, because you see so much enthusiasm, passion with all those racing cars fanatics, so it's good fun.
I have been around sports cars long enough to remember you in a previous life as part of the Peugeot sports car team. Do you still have passion for sports car racing?
I mean, guess why I'm here. I mean, you are talking about second life. It's still the same life. Same life with an older man, but I mean, with different responsibilities. And amongst the first things I decided was to meet people from ACO, Automobile Club de l'Ouest, who as you know, are organizing Le Mans 24 hours, and they were very much involved with endurance racing, and here we are.
You could have been at Melbourne for the start of the Formula One season. You're not. You're here. What does that say about the FIA and how important the new World Championship is, and how important these sports cars are to its road safety initiatives and everything like that going forward?
You know, for me, road safety is very dear, and it's not only working with endurance people, but working with all the motor enthusiast community, and of course with the governments around the world, and I think we can make the difference. But definitely endurance racing, I feel very strong potential. We will have more manufacturers coming soon. I mean, it was a shame, a disappointment to hear about the decision of Peugeot, because definitely the beginning of the championship would have been more hectic, but that's the way things are. But more manufacturers will come. We are preparing new regulations from 2014 on, where we will have more hybrid, more new energies, and it is very essential, because we must have a vision for the future of the sport, and combine that, of course, with what is happening on normal roads around the world.
In some respects, sports car racing seems to have a more freedom within the regulations, and we have some very free-thinking people when we look at projects like the Nissan Delta Wing, which we've seen here this weekend. How important is it for motor racing, if it is to survive, that we look at different solutions to the problem of going racing and going racing quickly?
It's very, you know, we have different issues to address. First, I will say control the cost, because we must make sure that racing is open to manufacturers, but also to privateers, to amateurs who love the enjoyment of racing. We must make sure that we can secure a good show, and endurance does combine all that. And of course, it's very attractive for manufacturers when they know they can have and demonstrate to the whole world what racing can be as a laboratory for innovative solutions for the future.
The instigation of this World Championship this year comes at a difficult time for major manufacturers. The World Rally Championship has had problems, even the GT1 World Championship has had problems. Why is it the right time, and why do you think that manufacturers like Audi want to support, and Toyota of course, want to support a World Endurance Championship? What makes the difference?
And Porsche is going good, as I said to you. First, it's a big attraction for spectators. I mean, when you see the enthusiasm here in Sebring, it's a beautiful opportunity for the manufacturers to show their technology, to show their know-how to all the racing enthusiasts around the world. Then endurance is closer to road car than any, I mean, together with World Rally Championship, to any other car category of racing. And as we early mentioned, the possibility of having application on new technologies and having a vision for the future.
That vision with World Sports Cars takes us into some new and exciting marketplaces and the emerging economies of the Far East. But how important is it to balance that with events that are completely secure and deliverable from a financial possibility, and indeed from a political possibility? And I think particularly of places like Bahrain, which has of course been in the news recently for Formula One and the WEC.
The world is expanding, and probably I mean, motor racing was born mainly in Europe, then in North America, but now you have a lot of attraction in other parts of the world, in Oceania, in Asia, in Middle East, in Latin and Central America, and we are a global sport. So it's very important to balance the calendar, and I feel that the Endurance Championship goes in this direction.
Mm-hmm. May I ask you a personal question? You've been in the job a little while now. How have you found it? Was it as you expected? And are you enjoying it?
I've been elected since now over 2 years.
Oh, and that is the Signatech Nissan and the Luxury Racing 59 car, I think, which was the leader. And we'll get back with Jean Todt in just a moment, but that is contact between those two cars on the far side of the circuit, and full course caution has come out straight away. It's one of the Luxury Racing cars, Jeremy.
Yeah, second place car in P2, and it's the, I think it's a 59 car. It's with a white band across the windscreen. I think that's the class leader in GT. What a disaster!
Doesn't look too badly damaged, but I'm afraid it's very badly damaged for the Signatech car. With, look at the left front of that car's been ripped off completely. Looks like he's coming backwards, and it is the 59, the erstwhile leader of the category. Let me just get a quick final comment from Jean Todt before we pick up on what's happening. So are you enjoying the job, and is it all you expected, sir?
I mean, you know, I did not have a very precise idea before being in charge of the FIA, but I must say it's a fantastic opportunity for me to give back a lot of things I've been learning over the years in my career. I've been a co-driver, I've been involved in rally racing, in endurance.
Jean Todt, thank you very much indeed. I'm sorry to break in. We're going to do some reports from down in the pit lane, where we'll catch up first of all with Kelly.
Just a preliminary report here for the 59 Luxury Racing Ferrari. Report from the team is that Jamie said he spun in some oil that was on the track. He's into the tire barrier. They're not sure how bad that damage is now. They're all huddled around the monitor right now trying to get a look to assess the damage.
He seems to be in reverse there. He doesn't seem to be able to get that car away from the tyre. Well, it's not stuck in the tyre wall, so there's something stopping that car from going backwards. Oh, there, now he's found the gear.
Got to be so careful spinning up those rear wheels. That car doesn't look particularly badly damaged. I'm talking about the Ferrari here.
Some damage certainly on the I think the left rear, and we saw last year how fragile that car was. Let's have a look here.
Now let's have a look and see how all of this occurred. Watch the bottom of the screen. There's the Nissan coming in backwards. Oh my goodness me. So they both lost it on the way into the corner. There's other cars around. Again, I wonder if there was something on the circuit, because they were both backwards and sideways as they came into shot. And there's the GMG Porsche just missing out.
I think that's a fair assumption there. There's some fluids down on the track, because to see all those cars much later on coming into the picture sideways or completely offline would suggest that it's not just a simple mistake.
It seems as though there may have been a problem for the level 5 95 car as well. Now let's have a little look here. It's past the Alex Job Racing 22 car, coming into the braking area, turns in. Oh my goodness me. Well, there was two cars there. There was a red car and a Porsche that was involved there, because the Porsche got pushed across. So all of a sudden, after a couple of hours of sensible and controlled driving, it's all gone bonkers out there, Jeremy.
Yeah, it has. We talked to, I guess.
That's damage on the right rear. He's got suspension damage on the right rear, I think.
We spoke a little too soon, didn't we? We said after 2.5 hours we'd only had the one caution period, but now we've had two in quick succession.
And that car is under person power and not HPD power as it comes down the pit lane. In fact, that's a mechanic that's sitting in the car. He's got goggles on rather than a full face helmet. And as you can see there, he's not strapped in. They're just pushing that back behind the wall.
I just talked with Ryan Hunter-Reay, and he said it was really simple. I said, I just got nailed by a Porsche, and he was very disappointed. Remember, he's just stopping in, trying to do his best for this team. In this case, it was one of the situations where he was trying to keep it as clean as he can. And I have to say, Ryan Hunter-Reay looked so disappointed when he got out of that car. I think the one goal he had was to make sure he stayed out of trouble, didn't have any problems, got hit as a result with that 022 car coming into him, and he's sitting down in his pit very frustrated right now.
God, I bet he is. I'm still not sure. There's the 022, the Alex Job racing car. Just what we were talking about earlier on with Marino about, you know, GT cars having the performance now, and that's a GTC car. I think there was, I was almost sure I saw some red bodywork there. Let's have another look at this, Jeremy, and see what you see.
I fancied another car coming down the inside. Yeah, it was that prototype.
Yes,
there.
it was. Leaving the scene of the crime quickly.
Yeah, who dived down the inside of the 022, which is Cooper McNeil, the youngster there, 19-year-old college student.
Well, I think
of the WeatherTech car.
I think you'll find if we could see the right-hand side of that car, that he got a helping hand.
No doubt. I think,
and he was
so.
Pushed across.
And poor Ryan Hunter-Reay, he wouldn't have had a clue. All he would have seen was the Porsche filling his right-hand mirrors, not the car that was inside the Porsche.
Correct. And he was probably, it sounds like he was coming back from a long way back. Now there is the Ferrari that we saw in the impact with the Signatech Nissan, and that was a bigger impact than we thought.
Yeah.
But that Ferrari has stood up pretty well.
Having said that, the 023 Porsche, the white and black car there, he was passed quite a long way before the corner. 022 was passed quite a long way before the corner, so he came
he's back out
quickly.
He's back out with just a wheel.
Wow.
Now, that would count as emergency service to replace a wheel, so he won't, even if the pits aren't open, he won't be penalised for that. As the wave bike is starting.
New car, that was a new tyre that came off.
Yeah, I wonder if that car had just not long been out the pits then. Let's go down to the pit lane. Kelly Stavist.
Seems like there was a bit of confusion as Jamie Mello brought the 59 Ferrari into pit lane. He immediately climbed out of the car, and as they looked at the damage, they thought they weren't going to go back out, so they had no driver, but they did put fuel in the car. Well, Jamie's just climbed back in. You can see there's quite a bit of damage there to the rear. I think they're taking it behind. They are. They're going to take it behind pit lane and go work on this 59 Ferrari on the paddock.
I think that's a smart move. It was not tracking straight down the pit lane there. What a shame for Nissan and the Signatech team. Had such a good year last year, and what we don't know, of course, is why they were all spinning there in the first place.
Quite, and one presumes that you know, the incident with the level 5 car and the Porsche happened before this one.
Yeah.
Between the number 23 and the number 59. So yeah, all sorts of weird stuff going on down there in turn, I think it was turn 13, wasn't it?
Yeah. Now there is the scene from inside the level 5 area. The guys will go to work on that car. But there is a bit more damage than we thought, because they're looking around the front suspension as well. Can't say anything other than the fact that, yeah, what a good word, spectacular, with a capital spectacular, as the cars are now in behind the safety cars with 8 3/4 hours. The sports car fans have come out in their droves, as they always do, to support the 12 Hours of Sebring, wearing their colours, be it the red and white of Audi Sports, or the orange of, or the yellow of Ferrari, and red the yellow of Corvette. There are supporters of every shape, size and persuasion here. Some come to watch one particular car, one particular driver. Many come just to be part of history being made. And there, a set of people who have become an integral part of the event down at turn 10. John Sutherland made a great little documentary about them, which was shown here in the darkness last night. Well, you can see the leading two Audis, Tom Christensen and Ben Treluer, are behind the safety car as the stricken Signatech car is trailed back. It's going to take a bit more than rubbing out. There's the leaders. We'll have some clear up and some pit stops before we go back racing.
The 1956 edition brought the first official appearance of the Ferrari factory team. They were set to battle Maserati, Aston Martin, Jaguar, and Porsche entries for the overall win. A starting field of 59 cars was on the grid, with the D-Type Jaguar, driven by last year's winner Mike Hawthorne, taking the early lead. When the Jaguar was forced to retire with brake problems, the Ferrari 860 Monza, driven by Juan Manuel Fangio and Eugenio Castellati, took the lead and finished with a 2-lap margin over the other Ferrari team car. All the excitement of the American Le Mans Series is back.
Red flag and we're racing at Baltimore.
Where technology races into the future and no man is better than his machine. Failure is always a threat when pushing development to its very edge, but survival makes success that much sweeter. This is where technology, passion, and danger meet to create a spectacular orchestra. The American Le Mans Series, presented by Tequila Patron, where the technology of speed and danger is everything.
Gotta love that view from the Porsche aerial camera. That, to me, says the start of a season and the start of a World Championship season as well. And this year there are an amazing number of new cars here at Sebring. But for Michelin, the big story is all about the new dimensions.
Just look at all these different size tires. In prototypes alone, Michelin has new dimensions, compounds, or constructions for the Audis, the Toyota Rebellions, the P1 HPDs, and the radical new Delta Wing. Michelin wants their tires to maximize the performance capabilities of the car. And because all the cars are not the same, each tire is adapted to what each specific car needs. For example, a tire developed for a Porsche would physically bolt onto a Ferrari, but it would not give the same results. And Michelin knows that each of their partners is receiving the best product possible.
And once again, Michelin going for a win here. It would be their 14th consecutive if they pulled it off this weekend. Clearly they don't want to leave anything on the table. We'll start getting some pit stops in a couple of minutes' time, so we'll be down in the pits. Before that, let me introduce another guest to you here on ESPN3. Patrick Dempsey has joined us in the booth. And Patrick, welcome along first of all to the booth. Not your first time at Sebring. I remember talking to you when you were Grand Marshal on the grid. What was that, 3 or 4 years ago now?
I think it was 5 years ago.
Really?
Yes, it was. It's good to be back. You guys are doing a great job. It's been a great race so far. It's unfortunate what happened in the last 15, 20 minutes.
We talked a little bit that time 5 years ago, if it was that long ago. Goodness me, where's it all gone?
I know, it went by very quickly.
About you getting involved in motor racing, and you'd been bitten by the bug at that point,
right?
And you've clearly carried on with that to the point where, very exciting news earlier this week, there will be a Dempsey Racing P2 car in the American Le Mans Series this season.
Yeah, we're really excited to be in this series. I mean, just walking up and down the paddock, you see the level of professionalism and sophistication with the technology, all that going on, and being a part of that with an LMP2, Lola, that's going to be a judge, so that's very exciting with Michelin. Trina Solar is one of our big sponsors, which we're thrilled about. Motegi wheels are going to be on us as well. Specialized Bicycles and GNC. So we're excited to be here. It's a great opportunity for us, and hopefully we can debut that car at Mazda Raceway coming up. It really needs we need to test properly, be prepared before we get into this series with the level of drivers that are here. We want to do a good job, a lot of respect for them, and we need to treat that car with a lot of respect and get some testing in, and hopefully we can do it then.
Now, you've done quite a bit of driving since the last time I spoke to you at Le Mans, when you were there a couple of 3 seasons ago. You've driven the 787B, which I'm very envious about, at Le Mans last year. Are we going to see you, it's the $64,000 question, are we going to see you driving that P2 car in the American Le Mans Series, and possibly you as part of the driving talent that takes it to Le Mans if you can get an entry for 13?
Yeah, that is our goal. Our goal is to go there next year to learn about the car in the series this year, take our time, do it properly, be prepared, and then really go for it next year. Hopefully we get the invitation to go back. It's an extraordinary race. To have done it once in a Ferrari was a remarkable experience. It was certainly life-changing. And to do it with an LMP2 would be a really exciting opportunity for us and a great goal to have realized.
I'm delighted but amazed that you said that going to Le Mans was life-changing. Of all the things that you've done, big-time movie actor, on our screens in Grey's Anatomy every week, both here in the US and pretty much everywhere around the world. How was going to Le Mans life-changing?
Well, the history of the track, the experience, the whole ritual throughout the week, from tech all the way through the parade, being a part of that, the energy and the atmosphere, and I've always loved car racing since I was a little kid, and have always dreamed about going there. And to finally get off the couch, not watch it on TV, do Skip Barber, do different racing series, and have that opportunity to go. It was very moving, and we did a lot of stints. We lost one of our drivers, so Joe and I did 2 on 2 off in over 10 hours each, which was an incredible experience. And to be a part of that history and to be in this field is just so incredible. It really is.
And it is a disease, isn't it? Once it gets into your blood.
Once you get hooked and you're out there and you're competing and you're that close and you're watching these talented drivers and you're competing with them and you're racing cleanly, there's nothing better in the world. It is exhilarating. You're in the moment. You get out of the car completely refreshed and in a real state of calm. And I just love it. I can't get enough of it. And to be here, it's hard. We're doing really well right now on racing the car. For the first time with this team, we've tested and we got here and we're prepared, and I'm really proud of how the team is performing so far. We have a long way to go.
That's a Lola Coupe you're going to be driving in P2. You've also got the PC car here.
Yes.
This year for the first time. And
there it is right now.
It's leading the class now because a couple of other guys just made pit stops on slightly different strategies here. So you're back in the lead of that class.
Yeah, we've been in first and third, so we've been doing really well. I think it shows you what preparation can do. We've been doing a lot of testing prior to getting here, which made a big difference. The team is gelling nicely, which is really important. Everyone's very calm, which is good. Dane did a great first stint. I think he could have got the pole yesterday. We had a little bit of problem with that red flag that prevented that from happening, which was unfortunate. But everybody's doing really well. We're thrilled.
And Henri Richard has really turned some very good laps. He's running beautifully.
He's been really doing a fantastic job. He's been very consistent, very calm in the car, and that's great.
Thank you very much for coming to see us.
My pleasure.
Thank you for continuing to shine a little spotlight on our sport. We're a little niche of motorsport, but it's great that you come and do this, and it's even better that you understand it and enjoy it, quite frankly. So long may that continue, and you're welcome here anytime, Patrick.
Well, I thank you very much, and you can follow us on GoDempseyRacing.com and check that out, and we're tweeting away as we do. I've got to thank Mazda, too. They've been incredibly supportive in my career, and we want to continue on with that ladder program with them.
Patrick Dempsey joining us here in the ESPN booth. Let's nip down to the pit lane and catch up with what's been happening. A number of pit stops going on there whilst we were talking to Patrick. We'll start with Rick Tobreau.
I tell you what, it was like rush hour down here. They opened the pits for everybody at one time, and a lot of cars came in at one time. It was very busy. Like some of the cars actually had a difficult time getting into their pits. Most got in smoothly. The biggest problem, however, was for the 155, the BMW. They had a problem with a camber shim on the left rear that had fallen out, so they had to have an extended stay in the pits to make that repair, but they've gone back out. Kelly?
Well, Audi gave us a little bit of a tease. It looked like they might bring the number 3 car in for a splash of fuel, but at last that crew went and sat back down on the wall. Further down, I'd say the most significant stop, perhaps the number 71, AF Corse Ferrari. From my vantage point now, there are a few cars ahead of us. It was very quick. My guess is that was just a quick fuel-only stop. We saw the number 13 come in a pit as well. It looked like Harold Premat got behind the wheel of that car.
Right, that's got you and us up to date with just over 8.5 hours to go. It's Tom Christensen still leading the motor race with Ben Trallier and Loic Duval back on the lead lap there through that intervention of the safety car. Oh, the 022 car can't get a break. That is the left corner, remember, puncture there earlier on. And Rick De Bruyne.
Actually got a whole series of problems. They had initially tried to use some Bear Bond to put racer tape to put the back end on. You can see it didn't work very well. It fell off. Now they've got another problem. They can't get the door open. Look, they're trying to work on it from the outside. They can't get the door open, so they got a driver who wants to make a driver change. One of the drivers was sitting here trying to work his way in, but in the meantime, they're working on the back, they're working on the door. Not a good day for this 022 car.
It's McNeil in the car at the moment, and he will be released from... Do you want me out? Yes, that's what we've just jemmied the door for. Now, the next problem they're going to have, Jeremy, is getting it closed.
Yeah, that's right. And Cooper Munoz, I don't think he's been at the wheel of that car for terribly long, but he's a youngster and he's even taller than Lee Keane, which is hard to believe. But now I think it's LP Dumoulin, Louis-Philippe Dumoulin from Trois-Rivières in Canada, who will get behind the wheel for the first time, I think, in an ALMS race.
So let
a
me
lot
just...
of experience in all sorts of cars, though.
The P2 leader is, believe it or not, Christophe Bichou in the 055 Level 5 racing car. He's in 11th position, about where the P2 leader has been for most of the race. Sohail Ayari is now behind the wheel of the Picom Racing 49 in second.
No, in third.
In third. Jacques Nicolet is in second, sorry.
The Morgan.
In the Morgan, yes, the Oak Morgan, the 24 car.
And Ryan Dalziel for Starworks Motorsports. The top 4 cars then in P2 still on the lead lap, as we see some old-fashioned work going on there.
Yeah, obviously the point here is it's not the latch that's the problem. The problem really was the sill down below. It obviously got bumped up. You can see where the damage was. And so now they're cranking away on it. Like you say, not your standard Porsche dealer. You can see on the rear they're trying to pull the fender out with a crowbar. Porsche mechanics all over the country are just having a big fear. I'm not sure what this is going to sell like on the secondary market when it finally gets out of here. But let's say it's not going to look as pretty as it did when it started this race. Not a good day for the way these things go.
They're all pre-loved, remember. They're not used, they're not second-hand, they're pre-loved. Some of them are more loved than others. I think this was a fairly new car, but I'm not sure that gets covered under the manufacturer's warranty with what they're doing at the moment. And as a Porsche owner myself...
Oops, wait a minute.
Close the engine cover, guys. As a Porsche owner myself, I was wincing when that bar was going in under the rear of that wheel. That's good old-fashioned engineering gone into that, Jeremy, isn't it? That's endurance racing right there in a nutshell.
Yeah, Alex Job, he and his team has been in this business a long, long time, and they've seen most things, I think, during their stint in the sport. So, they're not really taken by surprise by just about anything. So, good work them. They got that car back out. He's only lost one lap, I think, to the other leaders in the GTC class. So that's pretty remarkable that he can get that car back out on the road and only lose one lap.
The 5.5 car speeding on pit road.
That's the second time BMW has been caught speeding, isn't it?
No. 5.5, not 155.
Oh, 5.5.
We've got 5.5, 0.55 and 1.55, just to keep you on your toes. Awkwardly. So
it hasn't changed anything at the front of the pack, except all of a sudden we've got 3 Audis on the lead lap, and I honestly don't know how the number 3 car got back on the lead lap, because I don't believe the number 2 or the 1 car pitted, although I'm surprised they didn't pit, so I'm a little bit confused, but we'll get that sorted out for you momentarily.
Jeremy's pit chart, lap chart rather. There is the core.
You'll do a lap chart here.
Yes, Jeremy's famous for his lap charts. There's the 155 coming in for service. The Core Autosport prototype in behind. In PC, Henri Richard leads for Dempsey Racing in the 025 as Jeremy said. Then it's Ken Dobson in the 52 car, just a couple of seconds behind, 2 or 3 cars behind in the queue. And then it's Gonzalez in the 9 car, which we were looking at earlier on, in 3rd position. In GT, we haven't seen those for a while. 77, the Felbermeyer Porsche leads. In 2nd place, the 03, Jordan Taylor, back out in the Corvette, and it's Marco Ciocci in the 71 in third. That is the Ferrari. In GTR, Tracy Cronus behind the wheel of the 57 car, and he is in 35th, leading from Patrick Bornhauser in the first of the Labra Corvettes, with his teammate just behind him. And in GTC, Peter Lasafra is back into the lead in the 34. That's the Green Hornet car. And we heard that Cumming had got into the 11 car, the JDX Porsche, in second place. And it's Townsend Bell in the 023 Alex Job racing car in third in GTC. And that gives you a run through all of the classes as we're about to come back to.
Yeah, and I've just figured out, I think, how number 3 car got back on the lead lap. They delayed the pit stop on the previous caution period until the other 2 cars had come in. That got ahead of them, so they then got the wave by before the green.
So they got back on the end of the lead lap and then picked up the...
Exactly, on the previous caution. I didn't notice it in that brief run in between it, so that is what happened.
It wasn't pretty, dear viewer.
No.
There was fingers, toes, socks off, everything here.
So we now have, therefore, 3 cars on the lead lap, the 3 Audis, number 2, number 1, number 3, and then 1 lap down, we've got 4 cars. Number 12, Nicolas Prost, Lucas Luhr in car number 6, number 15, Bertrand Baguette, and number 22 for Peter Dumbrek.
Nice restart by Tom Christensen ahead of Ben Treluet and Loic Duval. Loic's a little bit further back in the traffic, got 3 cars between himself and his teammates.
So those chunks of rubber fall off the number 1 car as it went into turn 1, just picked up during this caution period.
Now there's a battle for
position,
4th position overall. And that is the best of the LMS category that we're riding with now. Lucas Luhr is staring at the back of Nicolas Prost.
And we saw they had a little bit of bad luck during the previous caution period when they had to come in and make an emergency stop, as it called, because they were about to run out of fuel when the caution period came out. So now this caution again has played into their favour. So once again, a great example of how the ebbs and flows of endurance racing.
Got the Strata car ahead of them, which is a lap further back for the number 21 of Danny Watts. He's the leading car who's completed 94 laps. There's Julien Jousse in the 16 Pescarolo in 9th, and Stephen Kane now in the 016. That's the Dyson car, second in the LMS category if there was one, but that's his second place in terms of point scoring for that car for the LMS Championship. So that does mean something to the guys in the 016. Now here's the battle with Nicolas Prost in the mainly black car with the red nose and the Swiss cross on it. Nicolas is indeed related to Alain Prost, multiple Formula 1 world champion. He is son of, and has made a pretty decent effort since coming over to sports car racing, a couple of 3 seasons ago. Very pleasant young man, very sensible about his racing.
Amazing to think that Nicolas is now 30 years old.
No.
Yeah, it's incredible, isn't it? I can remember watching Alain race in Formula Super Renault, as it was then, back in the 70s, before he went even into Formula 3. Jeez. Oh, ouch, I shouldn't have said that. It makes me feel old.
So that is
super battles going on here, isn't that great? And there's the 3rd place car, Loic Duval, right behind that battle for 4th place. As we see there, Lucas Luhr got a nice run out of that corner. Nicolas Prost carried a little bit too much speed into turn 1, and that enabled Lucas Luhr to take advantage, nip in the inside and get past, now into 4th place on the exit of turn 1.
Yeah, there's the 2 leaders. All 3 of the Audis have made 4 pit stops, and it's all been about when they've taken them and what they've done when they were there. But it's amazing that it's all even out in the end. If you remember, Alan McNish had an early stop for the car, not for any problem. The first caution came out around about the quarter of an hour, 15 minutes mark, and McNish in the 2 car took that opportunity, and it really worked for him for the first couple of hours or thereabouts, but then things tend to even out when there are other cautions.
Indeed, and interesting you should say that, because as you say, they split the strategy on that first caution, but this time around they're now back on the same strategy. They all came in under not this yellow but the previous one, and that was about almost 20 laps ago now, but they've only done about 8 laps of green flag racing. The rest of it has been under yellow, during which, particularly with the efficiency of these cars on full course caution trim, they use hardly any fuel at all, so they'll be able to keep going a little bit longer. But it was marginal, I think, that call as to whether they would come in or not. They elected not to.
Now that is a shot. That is fantastic work from the Helicam. You have no idea how difficult it is to do that in the flying and the controlling of the camera. Very
different guy. Hope it's not the same guy as flying it and holding the camera.
Yeah, of course it is. Flies it, holds the camera and talks to the producer at the same time. No, of course, you're right. That was good stuff. Really good
Talented
stuff.
guys we have on those shows, tell you.
Now, Lucas Luhr is about to come under pressure from Loic Duval. It's not a battle for position. Neither is the mainly white and blue car ahead of him. That is Danny Watts in the Stracker.
Well, who was leading P2 when we went back to green?
P2 was not Jacques Nicolet, he was second.
Yeah, he was, wasn't it? So Jacques Nicolet is now shown in the lead of P2.
Correct.
Not by much.
Soyela Yari.
It was a level 5 car that was leading, wasn't it?
So, just look at these three cars together, three prototypes, two HPDs and one of the Audi mark. Audi obviously easily spotted as it's the coupe, and running a diesel engine as opposed to two petrol powered cars around it. And those two are the same, the two open top cars. Stracker in that 21 car, Piers Phillips, Nick Leventis, the rest of the boys stepping up from the European competition last year into the full World Championship, and from P2 to P1, and that has been a bold move, Jeremy, because Nick Leventis is, he has not been a full-time driver. He is again one of those drivers who is very competent and who's been on a steep learning curve, but he's not a professional driver. And whilst that works for them and did work for them in P2, in P1 there have been some people who have asked the question and said, well, how can you compete, how can you expect to compete in P1 without three professional drivers?
Well, we will see is the answer to that one. Nick has come on a long way as a driver the last couple of years. He's certainly, he wouldn't claim to be as quick as the other two in that car, but if he can keep the car on the lead lap, then with the length of these races, they can certainly keep that car in contention, and that's all that the pros that he is sharing with will require.
Yeah. And there is Nick Leventis in the middle of those cars.
The crowd here really is sensational, isn't it? I hope Jean Todt had an opportunity to go around and walk around Green Park there and see some of the fans here, because it is a...
Sure?
Oh, really? As long as he didn't carry... I didn't notice his watch.
I didn't want to say anything while the president of the FIA was in here, but
and his deputy was here as well.
Yes.
Nick Craw was here.
Yeah,
too.
I saw
Nice
that. Yeah, I mean, how do you read that? I mean, we're watching this battle here, but how do you read the fact that he's eschewed the opportunity to go to Melbourne for the start of what is potentially a very interesting Formula One season for once?
Yeah, fascinating.
And he's come to see the world champion. Oh, little mistake there by the Audi. Just lost the front end going into the first part of Jean de Bihan Benz. I mean, he said, well, the answer is that I'm here, and that's what that's the importance that we put on it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a long way to Melbourne. Not quite so far here to Sebring from Paris, but no, seriously, this is the first round of a brand new FIA World Endurance Championship, so it is a big deal. There's 30 cars in the championship. They're going to be here all season long, all sorts of different manufacturers involved, so it is a major occurrence for the FIA. So I think it's absolutely right that both Nick Craw and Jean Todt, the president of the FIA, should be here for the inaugural event.
It is also clearly,
and it's the 60th anniversary of the Sebring.
Well, I was going to say there's a big event here. Clearly, looking at the Audis, knowing that Toyota are coming on board, Porsche was mentioned in the interview, there is manufacturer interest, whereas in Formula One, manufacturer interest has all but disappeared now. Well,
there's still manufacturer interest in Formula One, but this is the new thing. This is a new kid on the block, so I think it is appropriate that he should be here. I mean, he's going to go to several Formula One races during the season.
Yeah,
he's a well-travelled man with the FIA, no doubt about that.
I have no doubt that he's somewhere in the platinum level of frequent flyers. Tom Christensen, clicks over lap 100 as he went over the start-finish line last time. And he's got Ben Treluer just half a... Oh, somebody's just gone off right in front of him. Right in front of them, there was a car on the grass. Now, it was a light-coloured car. I can't decide. I literally just got a flash of it. So, can't decide if it was a Corvette or one of maybe the JDX Porsche, but it was a yellowy or a goldy coloured car, all four wheels on the dirt. And here are the leaders in danger time with Christensen and Treluer picking their way through the traffic.
Going to be weaving around there.
Yeah, he's trying to clean his tyres up because he's been offline.
Yeah.
That's what he's doing there, isn't he?
Absolutely is.
Oh, that bump. Just every time I see it, you think you're going to break the car.
It is. I mean, this is a real test of endurance here, the Sebring 12 hours. There's a lot of drivers and teams will tell you this is a lot tougher than the 24 hours of Le Mans.
One of the points that people were making in the early part of the week, and I think it was a good one to make, the European teams have dominated the early part of testing and even up to qualifying. However, they are used to racing on much smoother circuits than what we have here.
Yeah,
and they will have their cars rattled as much as possible to what is going on down all parts of the concrete areas. In terms of, this is a 50-60-year-old concrete. When you stand on the start-finish straight here, you stand on the start-finish straight that has not been repaved or had anything done to it since the very first time they ran a motor race here.
Yeah, and before, yeah, absolutely right. So, the history here, it oozes out of every crack of the pavement here at the Sebring Municipal Airport, or Hendricks Field as it used to be known.
And that's one of the
cool shots here, aren't there? I mean, there's no elevation change here because it's an airport, but there's so much character here, there's so much atmosphere here at Sebring, and it is a great place to come and watch a motor race, particularly if you're in party mood.
Yes, well, it is what our American colleagues call spring break at the moment, which is
party time.
Party time, yes. And there is a bit of partying goes on here, obviously.
Just a little, I'm told.
Yes, I haven't seen any of it ever. Looking at GTC there, and the 34 is the lead car, and being closed in on at the moment by Sean Edwards and Townsend Bell. That is the battle for first, second and third on your screens, heading down towards the final corner. Interestingly, the car ahead of them is Tim Pappas, who won that category last year in terms of ahead on the timing and scoring screen. The 54 Black Swan Racing P2 car not had the best of runs, but still out there and in 10th position in P2. But that is your first three, Jeremy. We've got ourselves a motor race again.
It's not the first three, just the first two, but certainly the second place car there in the picture is closing rapidly on 34. Peter Le Saffre still leads in that green Hornet car, but Sean Edwards is coming. He'll put that car on a pole and he will take the lead, I think, back now going into turn 3, unless Peter Le Saffre gets very, very defensive, which he cannot do.
No,
so
that
through
was
into
smart.
the lead once again goes Sean Edwards for the NGT Motorsports team.
I'm loving the metal flake finish on the Green Hornet car. It's with the matte black bonnet. That's very retro. Through goes Lucas Löhr in 4th position overall.
Yep, he's pulled out about 5 seconds over Nicolas Prost since getting past just soon after the restart.
Yeah, I'll tell you what though, Danny Watts has stayed with him though.
Yes, he has.
Where's Prost gone?
About 5 seconds back.
Keep a weather eye at the back of that field. So Sean Edwards, who's we keep mentioning his name, had success earlier this year in Dubai at the Dunlop 24 hours, driving a very different piece of machinery, the Hiko Motorsports, sorry, the Black Falcon Motorsports SLS Mercedes GT3 category car, but a very, very, very nice GT3 car. Here comes Prost. We were wondering where he was. There's Nico. That was well, that is one of the curbs you can use here. It's very flat on the left-hand side there as they head into the Jean de Bihan bends. Now, love that camera position too as they head towards Le Mans corner and turn right onto the Ullman straight, the back straight here.
It's a TRG car behind there, isn't it?
Yeah, sorry, I thought that was the other Alex Job car.
Spencer Pumpelly at the wheel, and he's actually shown it's just one lap down to the other leaders. So the green and black car, that is his second place. Correct. In GT Challenge, and the car behind is actually in 5th place, but as you can see, just over 1 lap down as Sean Edwards makes his escape there at the top of the picture.
Yes, he'll want to get by that green car as quickly as possible. Just looking at some highlights from the Cooper Tires
But
lights.
good battles all around the racetrack. 34, John Bronson sliding up inside, taking a position at the hairpin, but he has to fight for it with the 10. But in the end, Tristan Nunez takes the checkered flag and wins round 2 of the Cooper Tires Prototype Lights Championship. We'll be back to more of the 60th running of the Mobil 1 12 hours from Sebring after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
So, just a little flavour of some of the other action that's been here over the weekend. Cooper Tires Prototype Lights, effectively like a P4, I suppose, category, along with the IMSA Porsche category as well.
Yeah, and Tristan Nunez, tell you what, he's a young man to watch. He's I think he's 15 now. He might be. I think it's. I'm not sure he's either 15 or just turned 16 now. He's very, very young, and he's, you know, his career goal is to be a factory driver in the American Le Mans Series.
Oh, really?
That's what he's aiming at.
Trellier in the pits.
It's the first step.
Trellier into the pits in the number 1 car. You can see the pit board being put out in front of him. He comes up and hits his marks on the nose, literally as well as metaphorically. Change of bottle, but not much else. Tyres being proffered, but not going to be used. Headlight clean, windscreen clean, and Kelly is there.
Looks to be a very routine stop here for the number 1 Audi. Looks like it is going to be fuel only also. I don't see any of those Michelin tires ready to go on this. And in fact, as he fires back up, Trellier is back out under green.
And a fine job he did too in that stint, Benoit Trellier, hanging on to the tail of Tom Christensen, those two running pretty much in lockstep since the restart, about 10 laps or so ago, and now comes in for a routine service. And I think we can expect to see the numbers 2 and 3 cars into the pit lane within the next lap or two as well.
Yeah, and again, cutting across that line, that can't be the blend line. There is the leader, Tom Christensen. We expect to see him shortly into the pit. Now, has he done a double now, Jeremy? He has, hasn't he? He's effectively done a double. There's been a bit of...
Yeah, it's been quite a long time. He got into the car on lap 55,
yeah.
TK, so he's led the race since then as well, I think.
Well, they didn't give
one lap.
They didn't give up when he got in. When McNish came in, and he didn't give up the lead, did he?
No,
so
he gave up. I think he gave up the lead for 1 lap during a round of pit stops during that last sequence, which was about an hour more than an hour, well over an hour ago now, with those 2 lengthy courses.
He hasn't come in this time, so he carries on. Rather battle-scarred 45 Flying Lizard after that bizarre incident right at the beginning of the race. Indeed, before the beginning of the race, green flag was being waved. They hadn't got to it. They were entering turn 17. Now, this is the problem. This is the problem for the leader. Comes up against 1, 2, 3 cars, all having their own battle, and there is nowhere for him to go. Nowhere at all. So, the only driver we've not seen in the number 2 car so far, having seen McNish and Christensen, the 3rd member of the triumvirate is Dindo Capello. He's in the pit lane now with Kelly.
And Dindo's been eagerly watching the monitors. Now, Dindo, you guys got a bit off the pit sequence by pitting early. Do you think, still early in the race, but do you think that could prove to be a big advantage for you with that early pit stop?
Yeah, it's difficult to say actually, but at the moment we are in the lead. It means it was a good choice because we were in the better tire compared to our teammates at one stage, and Alan could gain and also pull away a little bit. Because here, you know, the pickup is a big issue. When you can keep your tire clean, you can make a big difference. And I think to pit so early was not a bad idea. At the moment, it looks quite okay, even though the battle is very, very close, and you never know. Actually, we are split by 1 or 2 seconds maximum, not more, between car 1 and car 2. Actually, car 2 and car 1. And yeah, difficult to say, but I think it was a good idea just to go out immediately again with a new tire and push, because you know, after the first start anyway, you do 2 pace car lap, you pick up some dirt, and it was not possible to push like we would like at the beginning. But then after the first full course yellow on brand new tire, Alan could push it from the beginning, and he made the difference.
You're going for your 5th win here at Sebring. Audi's going for win number 10, and it's the 60th anniversary of Sebring. Are those numbers of significance to you?
I think too many anniversary. It's difficult to say. For sure, it's the 60th anniversary. All the rest we will see at the end of the race.
Thank you, Dindo.
Oh, gotta love Dindo Capello. Good stuff. Yet to get in the car, but looks like he's getting closer as Tom Christensen continues to circulate. He has not yet pitted. He's got a couple, now 3 laps longer than his teammate. This is interesting.
It's very interesting because that's the first time we've seen any variation in the strategies. Well, we've seen different strategies, but that we haven't seen anything like a 3-lap spread between pit stops when they're on apparently a similar strategy. So that is curious.
No,
I wonder whether the number 1 car had to come in.
Well, yes. Let's go to GT because there's a great battle there going on at the moment. This is down in 26th position overall, with Jordan Taylor leading by just over a second to Patrick Pilet, and that's a change from the last time we spoke. The 77 Felbermeyer Porsche had been leading, but now, and I think for one of the first times of the weekend, an LMS car tops the timing screens for the GT category.
And hats off to Jordan Taylor, who made that pass last time around. He'd been closing in on Patrick Pilet there, and that Patrick Pilet car, number 77 car, that yesterday morning in the practice session was the first GT car ever to get below 2 minutes here at Sebring International.
Dominic Farnbacher at the wheel, wasn't it?
No, not Dominic.
Here's how he made the pass. No. Just here we go. Down to the hairpin, turn number 7. And just Pilet make a mistake. A little bit of wheel spin maybe there from the Porsche. And look at that, Jordan Taylor just need a second opportunity.
No, look at that, the Porsche pulled away a little bit initially there, but now here we go under the brakes. Wow, look at that, a very decisive, lovely move from Jordan Taylor. He checks it down the inside, gets it stopped well in time for the apex. A great move by young Jordan Taylor. Boy, this guy is a star.
Now, if you think you recognise the name Taylor and motor racing, you'd be right. Taylor Senior is in the pit with Al Richter Bill.
Yeah, standing by with Wayne Taylor. We go back a long way on this pit lane. We've seen Wayne Taylor have some great success here. What's it like seeing your son Jordan out there, not just in a good car, but running well himself?
It's difficult to describe, you know, having lived behind the wheel of a race car for so many years, and then you know, your kids are your kids, and you always expect them to be their little boys. And to see what he's doing today with Chevrolet and Pratt & Miller has been just fantastic. They've obviously put a great package around him, and he's just got to do the job.
Now, Jordan says that you didn't want him to go into racing.
No, this is true. I would have preferred them to just do something else, but you know, I don't know, it was like a light switch a couple of years ago where both of them decided this is what I want to do, and so, you know, as long as they're happy, I'm happy.
Wayne Taylor, the proud father, has had success here, and now he's waiting to see if his son can have the same.
Yes, and he said both of them, Jeremy, because it's not just Jordan who's racing now.
That's right. Ricky Taylor, of course, the older brother of Jordan, is racing with Wayne's team, Suntrust Racing, in the Rolex Series and doing extremely well there. Here's a pit stop, though, for the race leader.
Finally comes in on lap number 107.
Looks like it's going to be another routine stop here for the number 2 Audi this time. Again, looks like fuel only, getting some fluids in there to the driver. See a lot of fluid coming out of that windshield wiper. Jamie was talking about the new system that they've put in place there. Tom Christensen staying in behind the wheel. Quick stop, he gets it refired, and he's back underway.
I think that's a triple stint on the tyres, so I didn't make a note of him changing tyres on lap 78, which is his last pit stop. So this is a very long.
Since lap 54.
Exactly. Yes, he has.
Unbelievable stuff. There is the leading petrol car in the pit lane, and Richter Brühl is there.
The number 6 Muscle Milk car comes in. Lucas Luhr gets out of the car, and they're going to go ahead and make a fairly smooth change. And I do want to point out one thing at the very front. Look at the splitter down here. They've had a little bit of damage, and we've seen in the past that a small bit of damage to these splitters can really seriously change the handling of the car. Now, it's not a massive change, but you can see it has no support. So right here, when the support is not underneath the splitter, it's going to get pushed down. As a result, that is a potential problem they're going to have to deal with. Not a huge problem, not something they're going to change necessarily, but something they're going to have to think about. Simon Pagenaud in the car, they're getting ready to go racing again.
And when we say we get right next to the action, the onboard there with Rick and the cameraman standing right next to them as they're pulled out. We're there on the spot for you here on our American Le Mans Series coverage on ESPN3. Well, it's not just the American Le Mans Series who've been racing here, of course, this weekend. It's a whole circus, and that means we bring some support series with us. One of those, the prototype light category, and they've had a couple of races earlier on this week. Second round of the Cooper Tires Prototype Light Championship here at Sebring this weekend. Great start from pole by Tristan Nunez. Goldberg on the outside front didn't get a great one. Spin at the hairpin for Jim Garrett. He lost positions. And then the battle for second position. Brownson going through. Goldberg down into third position. But ahead of them, it was all about Tristan Nunez in the 16. And he was a very happy driver as he took the second round. We'll be back to action in the 60th running of the Mobil 1 12 Hours of Sebring in just a few moments' time here on ESPN3.
Usually when a car maker turns one of its models into a race car, they have to add power. But when Chevrolet wanted to race the 638 horsepower Corvette ZR1 against Porsche, Ferrari, and BMW, we were asked to dial it back. Oh, about 168 horsepower. You know, just to be fair.
Duck. Duck. Goose.
Our technology builds some of the best tires in the world, because when it comes to performance, we don't just play around.
Cheater, we said no 360s.
Who's up for some leapfrog?
When it comes to fun family getaways, it's got to be Holiday Inn Club Vacations. Room to be yourself.
The American Le Mans Series, presented by Tequila Patron, the fusion of man, mind, and machine in the ultimate test, where the fight for first is around every corner and the sole focus of every driver. It's 100% adrenaline, because the battle for the win is everything. And there's only one place in North America to see the thrills of Le Mans. It's the American Le Mans Series, presented by Tequila Patron. Coming at you on ABC, ESPN2, and ESPN3.
Well, the opening of the World Endurance Championship in the American Le Mans Series seasons here at the Mobil 1 12 Hours of Sebring, fueled by Fresh from Florida, couldn't have been done under any better weather conditions. And once again, what looks to be a near record, or indeed record crowd, have come down to Florida to enjoy this traditional international opener. Tom Christensen, the man who has won Le Mans more than anyone else, leads the motor race. He's won here 5 times. Could have easily been 6 and for a 3 for had he not blown the pit lane speed limit on his last stop. Probably not going to thank me for reminding him of that. It's a good job, I think, that he's in the car at the moment. He's got something like a second on Ben Treluer, who's in second place, so he catches the second position GTC car. That is Peter Lasafra. In fact, he's just dropped down into third position as Townsend Bell. The Loic Duval in third place. Now, I've just had a very interesting message relayed to me from Race Control. the 28 and the 6 car, the 28 being the Gulf Middle East Racing car and the 6 being the lead LMS car and the Muscle Milk Racing car in 6th position. The next time they pit, Audi number 1 going slow. Audi number 1 going slow. I'll come back to that in a moment. Is there something hanging down from that car? Has he run out of fuel? Surely not. What was happening there? He was flashing his lights, and then all of a sudden,
a few laps ago,
he was flashing his lights, Jeremy, and then all of a sudden he slowed down. I'll come back to the message from race control in a moment. Surely he's got to dive into the pits here. This is drama with just on 4 hours completed, and Ben Trellier is in a long pit lane for what cannot be a regular stop. Has he felt the wheel wobbling? Has something gone wrong? Has he lost power? He's still flashing the lights. Comes to a halt. There's no urgency at all here. They weren't expecting him. They'll put in fuel as a matter of course. Whilst they're talking to the driver, they might as well use that. And Kelly Stavist is down there.
Obviously a lot of activity initially. As soon as they saw there was a problem with the number 1, I didn't get word, but as you saw, all he did now was get a splash of fuel and be on his way. So something may have misfired, but apparently after they sent him back out, things seem to be good. I'm going to talk to the team here and see if I can get more information.
There was a mechanic who leaned in the left door and either plugged something in or re-plugged something in towards the back of the door aperture. Now, is he going back out on the track? Yes, he is. And once again, our tape crew have done a great job. Watch this guy here, Jeremy. What's he got there? It's a flash card of some description. It's a data card or a flash card or something like that. Going into a holder. Again, Control-Alt-Delete comes to mind.
That is very weird, because he just seems to slow down coming down the Ullman straightaway, didn't he, last time around?
Loaded a different simulation, obviously. That's very, very odd, and he's back up to speed straight away. You keep an eye on that. I want to go back to the message from race control for Muscle Milk number 6 and Middle East Racing number 28. At their next pit stops, they must fix, and I quote, their cheese wedge. Now, what we think they're talking about there is what we would call in Europe the legality panel. Just as I get a story going, here we go. Felbermeyer 88. Clearly, there's some kind of kismet that's going to stop me telling that story. That's the Felbermeyer amateur car, the 88 car.
Yeah, and the class leading car, the 57 car, Tracy Krohn, the Ferrari.
Oh, yes it is.
The orange and blue Ferrari's leading GTAM. Let's have a look, see what happens.
So the 55, oh no, that was just the Felbermeyer car locking it up. Tracy Krohn does a really good job to avoid, and I don't think he hit. I do not think he hit there. Spun the car in avoidance. May have flat spotted the tyres, but he's got away with it. Has he lost the class lead? That's the question.
Well, Christian Reed, who's driving the Felbermeyer Porsche, he was 3rd place in the class, almost 1 lap down. He was just ahead of Tracy Krohn, so all but 1 lap down. He locked it up. Tracy Krohn got on the brakes, did a good job there to avoid making contact with a Porsche, spun it around. But he had a pretty handy lead over Patrick Bornhauser in the number 50 car for the Labra competition team, the Chevy Corvette. He had about a 44-second lead over Bornhauser, so I fancy he might have been able to hold on to at least a much smaller advantage, but I think he might have held on to the lead still.
Right, take a breath. From the top with feeling. I will get it out this time. I will.
Go, get on with it.
Muscle Milk number 6 and the 28 of the Middle East Racing will have to have the cheese wares fixed. There is where it's missing. It's what we call a legality paddle, and basically that is part of the mandated bodywork. Peugeot a few years ago at Silverstone lost a podium position in a race because they couldn't make that change quick enough. Now, the question is about that car, which is of course one of the HPDs. The Middle East Racing car is a Lola. How easy or difficult is it to change the under tray, and how much of it do you have to do to replace that piece of bodywork? It is not normally, that rule is not normally enforced harshly in the American Le Mans Series.
I was just going to bring that up. Normally, as you say, in the LMS, that is not harshly enforced, but there is a complete clip, a rear clip, which includes the rear wing and the legality panels and that bodywork that goes over the rear wheels that will come off all in one swell foop. and they will be able to replace it and send it on its way again. But certainly another costly miscue, that not a miscue necessarily, but a costly delay for the number 6 team. It's just they've been having a tough time. He's going to stay out this time around.
He doesn't have to come in and do it right now, but at the next pit stop.
Next scheduled pit stop. And also a little note about number 24 car, Jack Nicolay was leading in P2 a little while ago. They've dropped back out of the lead. It's Matthew LaHaye who's taken over the wheel of car number 24, and they've just served a stop-and-go penalty, well, a speeding penalty for speeding on pit lane in car number 24 that was leading in P2. So they're now dropped back to 4th place in the class, and it's Ryan Dayel who leads in P2 for Starworks Motorsport.
And more penalties, that's a 44 car, more penalties. The 1 and the 25, that's Ben Treluer in 3rd position, and here he comes in. He's going to come in and serve his penalty at the box. It is just a stop and go. Why did he get that? Well, very simple and sensible answer to that is there was no one manning the fire bottle on the last refueling stop, and that is mandatory. The 25 car will suffer the same fate. So that car will have to pull in and again come to a halt in the penalty box. So we've seen the back of the 6 car, and Simon Pagenaud will stay out there and do his stint. What that does do, Jeremy, is gives the Muscle Milk team a chance to plan their strategy of what they do with that car when he comes in. He's in 6th position at the moment, leading the ALMS. Massively brilliant start for them at the start of the season. He has got a bit of breathing room between himself and Stephen Kane, but not much, just about a lap. So they can't afford to lose more than a couple of minutes putting that right without putting the lead in the category in terms of picking up the points for the ALMS leader in jeopardy. Oh dear.
Number 54 car all over the road there, right in front of Benoit Trullier. It is in car number 1. Boy, that car, the Black Swan car, I've got to say, was weaving around from one side to the other. It's Brett Curtis who's shown at the wheel right now. As we see, is that the Muscle Milk PC car, or is it one of the merchant services cars?
I think it's one of the merchant services cars, but I'll bow to your... Yes, the 06, I think. I think it was the 06, because the other one's got white mirrors.
Okay, so it's the Core Autosport car. Yeah, got new colours on the Core Autosports cars this year.
Yeah, Core Autosport, yeah.
But cool, crikey, it's all happening, isn't it? Just another quick note about that number 6 car, Simon Pagenaud at the wheel for Muscle Milk Racing. Simon's described this car as the best sports car he's ever driven.
Yeah, and he said that to me the day he got into it on the shakedown.
Yeah, on the shakedown, and he hasn't changed his mind, I don't think.
No.
I mean, and here's a guy who's been driving for the Peugeot factory team for the last several years. He drove the Highcroft HPD car here last year, which had a fabulous run with Marino Franchitti, who was with us earlier on, and David Braben to really push the diesel cars.
Yeah, in some ways actually, I wonder if that had made us slightly more excitable about the potential performance of the petrol engine cars, nice piece of alliteration there, in this race, because they haven't been able to hold on to the Audis. Oh, and there is the 02 that has gone off.
025.
025, that's Dempsey Racing.
It was leading a little while ago.
Duncan Endy has just gotten into that car, I think, dropped down to 5th position in the Prototype Challenge class, and he's gone off again slightly backwards. So let's have a look and see what happened here. Watch the car coming through turn number 4. Oh, and he's do you know, I think that might have been his outlap.
No, he's done a couple of laps. I think he took over the wheel about 3 laps to go.
Okay, it's not a big hit, but he has, I think, stalled the car. I'm not sure he's done any damage at all to that. Look at the just tapped into the tyres, and the wings fit perfectly between two. The wing end plates are exactly 2 old Michelin tyres wide. What a great idea!
He's having a hard time. Yeah, a good point. Nicely designed that. He's having a hard time firing it up there, it would appear.
Let's go down to Corvette. As you can see, the 03 car's in for service.
Jan Magnussen getting in the car, Jordan Taylor getting out of the car, talking with Doug Feehan, the team manager, team leader, just a while ago, talking about the fact that he says the race is simply coming to us. We're not having problems in the middle exactly the way we want. Of course, that could be the curse of it all. By the way, I was talking with Jordan Taylor about getting used to the idea of paddle shifters. He'd never worked with paddle shifters before. He says, you know, it's really easy. I've been using them on video games for years, so I had no problem adapting to them. Tires on, fuel's in. Jan Magnussen goes out.
Man, that was a good stop. That was a very, very good stop. Pratt and Miller, over the last few years when we have had pit stop competitions, have consistently won it. And
wow,
that is a team thinking ahead. You look ahead and plan ahead and anticipate when you drive. On the pit wall, Jeremy, you do exactly the same. We've got a full course caution.
Yeah, we have now.
Pits are closed.
Yeah, great timing there. I'm sure they realise the probability that there's going to be a full course caution, which would be our 4th of the day, and they call him in, get that stop made, and they don't have to wait now for everything to cycle through. So he's going to make a bigger. He was already the class leader, and he would have stayed on the lead lap through making that pit stop, and this will cement his position at the lead of the class in GT Plus. Everybody else will be a good bit farther back down the road when we come back for the restart.
Smashing thinking. So Tom Christensen leads by 43 seconds. Watch that disappear from Loic Duval and Ben Trelliway. Audi's number 2, 3 and 1 are first, second and third. Bertrand Baguette is in 4th position. He is driving the number 15 Oak Racing car. And here's it now. Now, was the 16 car in before the pits? Or was that an emergency service as well? Before the pits were closed. There's the closed sign. You can't come in when that is blinking and flashing like that. So question was, what did they do to that car? And I'm told from our ever vigilant pit lane that it was indeed a splash of fuel. You can take up to 5 seconds without penalty. Again, as we said before, you lose the track position, but you don't run out of fuel. Stephen Kane is the driver who made such an impression last year in the Oryx Dyson Racing team, being asked back to drive for Dyson in this new 2012 car. The 5th place now overall held by Peter Dumbreck, who I think is doing his first race laps in the 22 GRM. It's the HPD. So Audi, Oak Racing, HPD in the shape of the GRM car, HPD in the shape of Muscle Milk. Oh, and what a break Muscle Milk have caught, by the way, because they're going to be able to do their cheese wedge fix under yellow flags, as are the 28 car.
Yes, they can do those changes pretty quickly with the
but if it's a minute, it's a minute.
Absolutely,
you know.
Yeah, I doubt it'll be a minute, but I don't think it'll be anything like that long. But even so, you know, this is a break for them. If they elect to come onto the pit lane now, they certainly don't need to make a pit stop. Number 6 car was on the pit lane only not even 10 laps ago, so you know, it's relatively early in a stint for them. We'll see whether they take that opportunity.
Top 6 then, yeah. 3 Audi chassis, 1 Oak, 2 HPDs. Go to the next one down, go to 7th, a Lola, and then 2 Lolas for the top 8. So that's pretty impressive. We've got the variety back in sports car racing. Bob Bell in the Chapard Paul Miller Racing car.
And of course, that team switched to Dunlop tyres this season, having run with hello.
Oh yeah, he's
having a drink but missing most of it, I think.
Yeah, well, he's never had any coordination.
Oh.
Now was
okay. Yeah. Sure, they ran Yokohama tyres last year, and they've switched to Dunlop tyres on this Chopard Watches car for the 2012 season, and you know, it's very early in the development of the Dunlop tyres for the Porsche. Dunlop has been super competitive in GT, but this is the first time they're running on a Porsche.
Well, we saw just a few moments ago Duncan Hendy being towed away. Why could he not start himself? The answer comes from Taro down in the pits.
I just talked to some people right here regarding car number 27. The information is that the engine will not start. It will crank, but the engine won't start. Thus, he had to get towed away.
That doesn't sound good, I have to say, for the Dempsey racing car, Duncan Hendy. I mean, you can do so much, but the racing cars don't carry big batteries, do they, Jeremy? So, you know, you crank them a couple of times, you run the risk of flattening the whole thing, and then there's maybe a reset to do when you get back and all that sort of stuff. Still loving the aerial shots. Thank you very much. So 7 hours and 7 3/4 hours still to run. 7:45. And so as we are waiting for our pit stops to get underway, we recognise that there are perhaps some people who don't follow this form of racing all the time. So let's have a look at our Patron rules of the road. And this week we're going to ask the question, why can't you touch the car whilst it's being fuelled? We're an extreme speeds garage, so let's learn the first of what this season we hope will be many Patron rules of the road. Well, unfortunately, we couldn't get you the sound on that. What I'm going to do is put 25 cents in the meter and see if I can make it work again. Finger trouble from Hindhoff here. We'll get that sorted out. Shall we try again? And we'll see. It's a good job this is not live television, otherwise we'd have been caught out by that. Let's do take two. This will all be edited out in the mix. The Patron rules of the road.
Hi, I'm Scott Sharp, and this is the rules of the road. During one of our high-speed, fast ALMS pit stops, safety is a big concern. Anytime the car is fueling, no work can be done. Tires can't be changed, work can't be done on the car, only a driver change can start happening. Then after that, 4 guys over the wall, 6-7 seconds, change all 4 tires. Driver gets finished, being strapped in, doors closed, and off in a fast time and in a safe manner for everyone involved.
And that is the first of what will be a number of rules of the road for this season, and we'll give you an idea of why the rules are there, not just the fact that the rules are there, some of the thinking behind what goes on over the wall and on the track here in the American Le Mans Series presented by Tequila Patron. So the pass around have been completed. The pit lane therefore will open for prototypes first, next time by, and it looks like the Dempsey Racing car suffering a slight ignominy of being towed behind one of our Chevy safety trucks here in the American Le Mans Series. However, at least it's getting back, and good to see actually that the car is being brought back. It was removed from a place of danger, and therefore it's been brought back. Is it outside intervention? Yes, it is. And for those of you who are in Europe saying, well, hang on, he's had outside assistance, he was in a place of danger, he needed to be moved, what were you going to do, leave him on the side of the circuit? They've brought him back to the pits, and he will get the chance to fix whatever was going wrong and get him back out again. And you know what, I don't have a problem with that, Jeremy, I really don't.
This is the American Le Mans Series. In America, you do the officials will do everything they can to keep the cars in the race as long as they possibly can.
Yeah, I agree.
The fans come here to watch the cars. So if the car is serviceable, they'll get it back to the pits and get it back in a race. That's one thing I dislike about the rules that are in Europe.
Yep.
And I think that's a great thing over here. The cars are here to entertain the fans, and so. And the sponsors pay that money to get that car in the racetrack. So let's get it back, get it in the race. If it's running, let's get it back in the race. Love it.
And now I wonder if that's going straight behind the wall, actually, that car. So that might need rather more attention than Dempsey Racing would care to see. So get ready down in the pit lane. Not that long since we had pits, but when you've as soon as you've gone about 15 or 20 minutes, it's almost always worth having at least a top up on the fuel, unless you work some particularly clever strategy. The 2 Audis will have the first opportunity to go into the pit lane. Will they take it? Behind them is a couple of lap cars. I'm looking for Trellway. Oh, there he is. 5 back from the 2 team cars. The yellow on Tom Christensen's car signifies the number 2, the yellow mirrors and air intake. The red on Loic Duval and the black on Ben Trellway, the colours of the German flag, of course. So, well, poised, ready to strike like a panther in the pit lane. Clearly some teams are expecting cars and some teams maybe aren't. On board with Simon Pagenaud, and if he comes in along pit lane this time, and I would suspect he will, watch for that work at the back of the car. Same with the 28. the Middle East Motor, and he's trying to get the teams and the cars in front of him to speed up and close up that gap, because he wants to be in the pit lane, and he wants to be in the pit lane now. He wants to save seconds because he knows he's got that work to do. Rebellion 13, after its early problems, is in the pit lane, and here now is a slightly more calm Simon Pagenaud heading down towards the pits of Muscle Milk, and a new cheese wedge on the back right. The legality panel must be replaced at this stop, otherwise they will not be allowed to go back out again. Comes in and hits his marks perfectly. They'll fill the car first of all. Note the fire bottle at the back on the right hand side. Oh, they're touching the car on the left hand side. Now what's he doing there? He was in the cockpit. That's okay if that's data. Look at how he's poised. Yes, you know, you can go. The fuel hose is out. And so here we go now. Start the watch and see how long this takes. And overseeing it for us is Kelly.
As you see the Muscle Milk team going to work on the back end here, they have to add that piece, that cheese wedge that was missing from the back bumper. Should be a relatively quick and easy fix. Looks like they've got to get that rear wing off though first. They're sort of kicking it to get it off. They've pulled it back, and now we see the new clip coming on here for the rear. Remember, this is a new car, a new HPD for this team, so who knows how much time they've had to practice making some of these repairs and adjustments and simulating a pit stop. Team's getting that new rear wing put back on, and we'll see that back deck come on shortly. A bit longer probably than they would have liked to have seen. Nonetheless, this is work that had to be done. It was required by the officials. And now we see him covering it back up. Simon Pagenaud should be underway momentarily.
And yeah, great. Thanks, Kelly. It really doesn't matter how long it takes as long as they don't go a lap down, because he'll be able to get back on the racetrack now or in a few moments. Then he'll be able to pull around and pull up to the back of the pack. The rest of the field is only kind of halfway around the lap, so they've got plenty of time to finish off that service.
Yes, do it properly, guys.
Absolutely.
Do it properly. It's right on the back. Two observations to make about that. We've got a single piece where it used to be 2 or 3 pieces, which is clever. However, they did have a trouble getting the clips on. That's a new car, a brand new car, and it may be that some of the panels haven't been quite fitted together. Then it's not an absolute on these cars, and sometimes you have to get the little grinding tool out. And it may just be there that having had that panel painted, it wasn't quite a fit. Now,
not quite as calm as I would have liked to have seen that stop, but still they got it done. They got the car back on the racetrack, and one got to presume that all the clips are properly done up. And Simon Pagenaud now will be back up to full speed and fully legal again, and he's going to be charging. And still, just that one lap down to our overall race leaders.
More problems in the pits. Well, actually out on the track, a bit of a schmozzle for the 5.5 car. Not the first time that we've mentioned the 55 today and the word penalty to come after it. They have breached the pass around code, so they have passed around when they shouldn't, and unfortunately that means that they will be penalised for a 4 minute 4 seconds stop and go. Well, we'll go back to green shortly. There's your leaders. Let's look back in Sebring history and go back to 1960. And we'll be back with more from Sebring next here on ESPN.
Everything we ever thought up. Everything we fight for. Everything we dream of. Everything we are. The new 911. Porsche Identity.
To get 40 miles per gallon, most car makers compromise performance. But we're Mazda, and we don't compromise. The Mazda 3 with Skyactiv technology gets 40 miles per gallon highway without economy buttons or compromising how it drives. We build Mazdas. What do you drive? Now get the Mazda 3 with 0.9% APR for a limited term.
Be the first to wear the latest trends of the American Le Mans Series presented by Tequila Patron. The official photo or poster t-shirts are available in 5 different colors, or you can purchase Roger Warwick's t-shirt featuring the past 59 Sebring winners. Also, don't forget to grab the 60th annual Sebring event poster and stop by the paddock to get all your favorite driver signatures. The ALMS merchandising booth will be selling all of your favorite limited edition Sebring items throughout the day. And for those of you at home, be sure to check out ALMS.com to purchase your piece of Sebring history.
Well, we're not quite ready to go back to green flag racing here at the Mobil 1 12 Hours of Sebring, fueled by Fresh from Florida. And that gives us an opportunity to check back in with the Green X Challenge. Remember, we're looking for clean and efficient as well as fast. Muscle Milk leading at the moment with 28.56, and that's a big lead over Level 5 Motorsports, 2 cars in the prototype category. It's all worked out on how much energy and how efficient you are using your fuel and your tyres and your lap times and where you are on the track at the same time. And we score it as a prototype challenge and a GT challenge as well. So let's move to the GTs, the Grand Touring cars. Should mention that the WEC's entrants aren't being scored for this. It was Corvette before, it's Corvette now, but look how much closer it is than the prototypes. Just something around about a point between Corvette Racing leading and their teammates, and BMW Team RLL in 3rd place. So the Green X Challenge promoting the opportunity to be, yes, fast, but also clean and efficient, and proving that you can go racing whilst being sensible and making sure the planet is not harmed too much. Now back on board with the 48 Porsche, that's Sasha Masson just putting his seat where he wanted it. And yes, they do have adjustable seats in Porsche GT cars. I just realised actually that 2 of the drivers in that Chopard Paul Miller racing car have got black and white stripes on their helmet, but fortunately Sasha Masson has some red and white on the top to balance it out. Jan Magnussen in the 03, and there is the 016 Dyson getting its fuel. Remember, it had to come in for emergency service earlier. Good view of the gaps in the top of the wings that used to have the louvres on. That's Stephen Kane there. And news from the pit lane that the 28 car has once again, this is the 28 Middle East Gulf racing car, has once again attracted the attention of the stewards. Cheese wedge to be done on that car, and a 2-minute stop and go penalty for overtaking under yellow.
Yes.
It's a steep learning curve for them, I think, is what I'm going to say diplomatically at this point.
Reset the order. We've got Tom Christensen back at the front of the field in car number 2.
He got in that car at 12:22, by the way. Martin Pass sent me a note on that.
Yeah, I'll go with that. 12:23, but I won't argue with Martin Pass. So we've got number 3 in second place. Those 2 cars on the lead lap. And then 1 lap down, we have car number 1, Benoit Trollier, after that unscheduled stop a little while ago. Number 12, Nick Heidfeld. Number 15, number 22, and the number 6, all just 1 lap down to those 2 Audis. In P2, it's Sohail Ayari in car number 49, leads now from Christophe Beauchou in the 055. And Stefan Sarrazin, who's just taken over from Ryan Dalziel in the Star Works Motorsports car number 44. Those 3 cars on the lead lap in P2. In GT, we got Jag Magnussen as a result of that pit stop just before the yellow came out for Corvette. He leads from the number 77 Porsche, the number 4 Corvette, the number 71 Ferrari of Beretta, and then the 2 BMWs, 155 and 56, sandwiching Adrian Fernandez in car number 97 for Aston Martin. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cars on the lead lap in GT.
In PC, that's the 4th place car, which is stubbornly refusing to give up its left front tyre and wheel combination. So the bodywork's going to have to come out as Nicolesi is sitting in the car, sort of just thinking, when am I going to get back in? And that is, as I said, 4th place in PC. It's the 06 car that leads from Tommy Treacy in the 9, Chapman Dakota in the 7 are the top 3 in PC. In GTM, it is Julien Canal who is leading the way there, and that is in the Labour competition number 50 Corvette. Let's go back to green flag racing, shall we? I think that's a great idea. Tom Christensen goes across the line with just under 7.5 hours to go. He's got close company from his teammate Ben Trellier, who is trying to get in front of him and effectively get back on the lead lap. He's just lost that. And now, does Christensen let him go or not? Oh no, that's interesting. The marker lights on the side of both of those Audis are showing 3 lit, and that should show 1 lit for Tom. So just wondering if the timing and scoring is resetting. We have no problems in the booth, I should say. So down into the hairpin. Oh, and there's the traffic jam. Meantime, back in the park. And that's why you want to lead. When people say it doesn't matter where you qualify, that's why you want to be in the front.
And why that strategy for the 03 Corvette was so good, because they're towards the front of the pack of cars and kind of out of danger's way, at least for a little while, they would hope.
Yes, you see, that just looks like a bad day on any freeway or motorway.
We just talked briefly about GTE AM, the amateur class. The number 50 car, Julien Canal, is now leading from the Krone racing car. Michele Rugolo has just taken over from Tracy Krone, and that change just took place. The change between first and second took place during pit stops right then. The number 15 car.
That's the York car.
Yeah, 5th place overall. Dominic Kreihammer there in big.
And he's gone. Whoa. He's gone. He got it back, got on the track, and then lost it again. Oh. I got it. I don't got it, and he's off. Driver's left. Now, damage, no damage. He's got a forward gear. I think I saw a tad of forward movement. Yes, I did. This is out of turn 10. There's a little bit of damage towards the rear of that car. And again, it's the cheese wedge that's taking the hammering there. Now, there are some clues, some basic clues here as to what was going wrong when you look at the position of this car. Now, just look further back, right at the top of this. Yeah, you see, not stopping at that point, is he? He gets back on. He's got dirt in his tyres. Watch behind the 2 Rebellion guys. Ooh! Oh, he got nailed.
Oh, he got punted.
Wow, that was 2 Rebellion Toyotas getting together. So, my apologies. Dom had got it back.
Yeah, he was still sorting it out, wasn't he? He was off the throttle there, and the 2 Rebellion cars there. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure which one was which. You couldn't really see from that angle. It's awfully difficult to tell those 2 cars apart in any case. But the guy on the inside didn't give the guy on the left an awful lot of room there.
The cheese wedge once again has taken the brunt of it. And if you look, actually, you can see that the veins on the rear under tray are flapping about as well. I think it was Nick Heidfeld, by the way, in the 12 that nailed him. We'll find out in a moment when we see the front of both of those cars.
Yeah,
so someone's taking. It just looks like someone is taking a nibble out of the cheese wedge at the moment on that right rear. But it doesn't appear to be slowing him down too much. Graham will be very happy about that. He had a look down the inside. He took to the grass, I think, to avoid an accident. That may have been his misjudgment to start with. He was gathering it back up again. I thought he just buried his foot on dirty tyres. That wasn't the case for Dominic. There's your leader again. The whispering ghost that is Tom Christensen and his Audi R18. Let's go back to the GT category. This is for 6th and 7th. We're on board with Jonathan Summerton in the 56 BMW and Adrian Fernandez in that rejuvenated Aston Martin V8 Vantage ahead.
So 2 guys making their GT debuts, effectively. Adrian Fernandez, massive amount of experience, of course, but this is his first ever race in a GT car, and there he is doing a super job. And I was just looking at the fastest laps in the class in GT. The 2 best laps were the Ferraris that are long gone out of the race, the 59 and the 51, they're long gone. They were the fastest cars in the class, but the next fastest car in GT, there was one other, but it was the Aston Martin.
Yeah.
Astonishing speed that car is showing.
There are people all around the world watching this in Aston Martin showrooms, and I know one set of people who are watching this in an Aston Martin showroom who will be cheering wildly at this return to form by the Aston Martin V8 Vantage. Remember, that's the entry-level car for Aston, often the forgotten car perhaps in the range, but it is the car that goes racing in GT-E and GT, and my goodness me, it's flying the flag for Banbury at the moment, or Banbury and Gaydon, of course.
And it's set the 3rd fastest lap in the GT class in this race. It's under pressure now, though, from Jonathan Summerton. He's trying to resurrect his career. He's raced in Europe, he raced in Formula BMW and in Formula 3 in Europe with some success, came back over here, finished, actually tied on points in the Atlantic Championship 2 or 3 years ago. Wow. Since then he's been really struggling to get a full-time ride, and Bobby Rahal has given him an opportunity here to drive that car, with Joey Hand committed elsewhere, and Andrew Prio and the other works drivers for BMW committed to the DTM program in Europe, which is what Joey Hand is going to be doing. Bobby was casting around for another American driver. He actually wanted John Edwards, but John Edwards has signed a contract with Chevrolet to drive in the Rolex series. So he's now given Jonathan Summerton this opportunity, and Jonathan is absolutely determined to grasp it with both hands.
He's absolutely replaying the confidence that's been shown in him. And sometimes it's a difficult choice, isn't it, for still a relatively young racing driver to make, to not necessarily to give up on the Formula car career, but they think sometimes that going into GTs is rather admitting defeat. Sorry, the slight intake of breath there was the JRM car diving down the inside of, it seemed to be half a dozen GT cars.
Yeah, Jonathan's
that was Peter Dunbrack.
Yeah, Jonathan, he's still only 23, Jonathan Summerton. He seems like he's been around a long time, and that's because he started out very, very young in Formula BMW over here.
Started, what, 15?
He started over here. Then he went over to Europe to race those cars as well. So he's from Kissimmee in Florida, just south of Orlando, so a local guy here. He's got a lot of support, and he's doing a beautiful job. Hats off to Jonathan Summerton. Good, and hats off also to Bobby Rahal for giving him that opportunity.
Stephen Kane, just from the overhead shot there in the 016, the Dyson. Back in, he's been called in for speeding on pit lane, and that team have no excuses. They're LMS regulars, so they couldn't serve that, of course, until they came back to green flag racing.
Look at this battle, isn't it tremendous?
Well, that's Leeds there in the 2nd place car, is it not? And then Ollie Gavin's 3rd, then Beretta's 4th, then Alton, then Fernandez, and then Summerton, and they're all pretty much, they're all there or thereabouts. I mean, that's just remarkable. 2 ESM cars slightly off the pace there. Anthony Lazzaro's in the mix.
They both had a few little issues in this race, but Anthony Lazzaro in the 02 car, that car's running very well indeed, and certainly Anthony now, he's best of the rest, if you like. He's 1 lap down to the leaders in GT, as is Sasha Marson in car number 48.
And the problem is, of course, you're having a GT battle, and then along comes a prototype. And gets right in the mix. That was a nice move there on the 57 of Michele Rugolo by Jonathan Summerton.
So Jonathan's got past Adrian Fernandez.
Yes, he has, yes. Fernandez is behind him.
Yep.
That's right. Can't see the Aston in front now. So his next target is Uwe Alsed, his teammate in the other BMW, who's about 6 seconds up the road. Getting a little flash of the other guys. There's a great battle going on between Beretta and Olsen.
And that's the GT AM leader right in front of us here. That the Corvette that's right in front of us from the onboard with Jonathan Summerton is Julien Canal, and he leads in GTE amateur class for the Labour competition team.
Well, there's nothing to choose between those two really cars, is there?
And on the left there was the 34 car of Sebastian Blekemolen.
Great use of the onboard there on the 34. with Sebastian Bleekemolen watching that pass, getting a grandstand view and giving us the same view here of that pass. Not for position, but a good pass nevertheless from Summerton. Got his car in the right place, made sure he knew what he was doing, and more importantly, that Julien Canal did as well.
Yeah, so there's Canal there in the Corvette, just turning the corner here. Then 2 cars behind, down the inside there, the green and blue Ferrari. That is the second place car in GT Amateur. Michele Rugolo having taken over now from Tracy Crone, and Nicholas Johnson, the third driver in that car, number 57.
At the head of the field, Christensen has eked out a moderate lead, up to almost 2 seconds now over Duval. And I'm not sure that Treluer has got back ahead of Christensen yet. We'll need to have a look at that again. Well, there's Christensen. Is that... Oh, he must have.
No, I don't think so. I think I saw 3 cars.
3 out, another 2 Audis behind him.
2, and there was the third one, I think.
Okay.
A flash of it on top of the screen.
When you think what Christensen's achieved, and in the time scale that he
1,
has
2, and
achieved...
3, there they were.
Yeah. And the time scale in which he's achieved it at Le Mans in particular, Jeremy, it is quite remarkable. 8 victories. He surpassed Jackie Ickx's record a couple of years ago, but did it in something just over half the amount of races. And when you think also he could have had another couple of wins on top of that, I seem to remember him nosing a car into the wall at Mulsanne Corner on his outlap one time when the car looked like it was going to win. I think that was the one of the Yost cars. He certainly robbed of a win with McNish and Dindor when Dindor was 3 laps to the good on sheer pace Sunday morning, 17 hours in, maybe a little more, and the wheel fell off at the Arnage Indianapolis complex. So it could be 10. It could easily be 10 race wins at Le Mans for Christensen. He's got 5 here. Just brilliant stuff. Duval 2 seconds behind. And Treluer still in 3rd place. Nick Heidfeld impressing me. He's just 3 seconds now ahead of Simon Pagenaud. And Peter Dumbreck another half a minute or so behind Dominic Kreheimer in 7th position for Oak Racing.
Yeah, Kreheimer was able to keep going. He didn't lose a lap, did he? So he's only lost a few positions.
Cheese wedge damaged, speed relatively unaffected.
Yeah, he's certainly losing a few seconds on the last lap, and then Stephen Kane trying to make up the ground now, having to make that pit stop late on in that caution period.
Yeah, don't forget he got pinged for his pit lane speeding, so he's been back in for a stop-go as well. So that's cost him some time, and now he's only 23 seconds ahead of Jean-Christophe Bouillon in the 16. So the 0-16 is being closed down by the Pescarolo 16. Haven't talked much about that car, Jeremy. It's been in the top 10 all day, which actually, on the face of it, is a pretty good run out for that car. That is an extremely old car, 3 years old and some, and is therefore ballasted, which weighs heavily, smaller intake as well, so it can't produce the power. Pescarolo to debut 2 new cars, of course, the Dome Pescarolo with the roof, and the Pescarolo, which is the middle section of the Aston Martin that had such a difficult berth last season. That car will be fitted with both of those in fact will be fitted with Judd engines later in the World Endurance Championship season. In P2, Soyela Yari for Pecom leads it out from Christophe Bouchou for level 5. There's only 6 seconds between those two, and Stefan Sarazan is right on the tailpipes of Christophe Bouchou in the Starworks car in 3rd place. 4th for Matt Leher is just a lap off the lead, and half a second further back is the Greaves Motorsport car. Half a minute further back is the Greaves Motorsport car. In the PC category, Viso Drisi Ducote, if you prefer, 0, 6, 9 and 7. And in GT, Jan Magnussen in the 03 Corvette, by just over a second, mind you, from Richard Leitz in 2nd place for the Felbermeyer car. So that's closed up. Ollie Gavin still in third, another 4 seconds further back. And 4 seconds behind that is his former teammate Olivier Beretta in the 71 AF Corsa. And then 6 seconds back is Uwe Olsen. Summerton not really closing at the moment on the 5 ahead of him.
No, both he and Adrian Fernandez, they're running 2 or 3 seconds off the pace of the other leaders in GT.
I think they're in traffic.
Yeah. Yep.
He said. Hopefully. So there is the Corvette.
And that's the battle for the lead, I think, isn't it? Right behind him in GT. As you see the second place car in PC go through.
There's Christensen, and he continues to lead. Behind him, it is Treluet. So that is the third place car. It's the number 1. So worried when they go out so wide there. So the 3 Audis on the front straight together, first, third and second in that order, still showing the wrong lights on the side of those cars. What I'll have to do now is check the other ones.
Surprised there's not a penalty in there.
Well, I now wonder if there's not a problem with the system. The WEC system and the ALMS system not exactly the same as far as I'm aware. There was some moves, may have been actually, I now have said that, I think there may have been moves to standardise that through the off-season. Definitely 3 lights showing on the 2, and it should be 1. Look at the side of another car, we'll work out what it is. How do you think Audi feel about this right now? This is the old car. I mean, it's good points for them. It's only 4 scores. You can drop 2 scores, but not Le Mans in the championship in terms of the Manufacturers' Championship to give Toyota a fair chance. A win here is good for them.
Absolutely.
Are they learning anything for the new cars? Probably not.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some technology on this car that they can transfer across to the new R18 Ultra when they get it out, and then of course the hybrid car, which is undergoing new development as well.
One team who will be happy, Muscle Milk. Simon Pagenaud driving the best sports car he's ever sat in.
And here is that battle. That is the battle there for 4th place. You can see Simon Pagenaud is caught right up to the tail of the ex-Formula 1 driver Nick Heidfeld, and that battle now is fully being joined between those 2.
Yeah, in his wheel tracks at the moment.
138 Formula 1 starts for Nick Heidfeld. Wins, well actually no, but he's won everything else in his career on the way up to Formula 1. And I think he's enjoying himself. He's got this opportunity now with the Rebellion team, with the Toyota engines, and he's looking to make a new career for himself in sports car racing.
It's the 06 Core Autosport leading PC with EJ Viso at the wheel. And again, Core, a name that we've called in the past in this prototype challenge category, unique to the American Le Mans Series.
Saw that kind of a problem not too long ago, didn't we?
I thought so, yes. But still leading. That V8 GM engine still purring along nicely. Did seem to have a problem earlier on. Second place in categories, Tommy Dreesy in the RSR. You said the RSR car was an ex-Genoa car, didn't you? Was it the ex-Genoa
yes.
car? Yeah, the 9 car. Still in the red livery. Chapman Dakota in the 7, which is the one of 2 Merchant Services Racing cars in the PC category. Tell us
those are the Intersport cars.
Right, okay, you need to tell me a bit more about Merchant Services when next we get a chance.
Yeah, it's run by Brian Alder, who was the team manager at John Field's team, but Intersport Racing no longer running, well, not running this year in any case, and Brian Alder has done a deal to take over, lease those cars, I believe, from the fields, and that's with the Jacotes coming on board there with Merchant Services, Carl Marcelli and a bunch of other people as well. They made that program happen. They're back here with 2 cars, good to see.
It's the GT leader, Jan Markussen.
Travis, the race engineer there, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, technical director. Former designer with Lola and Penske and all sorts of others. He's a very, very accomplished race car designer and, of course, race engineer as well.
New colour scheme as well as a wider body for the Corvette this year. Jan Madison leads the GT category. From in second place, Ricard Leeds in that blue. There it is, the Felbermayr 77 car. So there is the gap, first to second. We've got great script writers here, haven't we? Third place is Ollie Gavin, who's ahead of Olivier Beretta now. So that is the battle for first and second. And it's closing up.
77 of Felbermayr Racing. They did not expect to be up front this early on in the race. The reason being is that they had to start from the back of the pack. And that's because during qualifying, the cockpit temperature of the car was 9 degrees too hot. With the FIA here this weekend, they are closely monitoring every single cockpit temperature, and they were too hot, so they made them move to the back of the grid. They've done a terrific job playing out pit strategy to get back into the main pack and stay on the lead lap.
Thank you, Jamie. Down there in the pit lane. You know, the Corvettes have done a cracking job here, Jeremy. It seemed to be a domination from the WEC cars, but with the Corvettes and the BMWs fighting back into the top half dozen or so, the ALMS cars coming back, and again, battling for their own points title.
Yeah, that's right. It's a great battle going on between the WEC and the ALMS cars in GT. Right now it's ALMS, WEC, ALMS, WEC, and then two more ALMS cars. So tremendous battle, and they're all on the lead lap and all within about within half a minute of each other.
Well, we've come to
we talked about the pace, by the way. Just very last thought on that. We talked about the pace of Somerton and Fernandez a few laps ago. This time around, they both did 2-minute 2-second laps. That's exactly the same pace as the leaders in GT. Now we talk about the amount of racing that we get here. This was all in the vision of the man who's joined us in the ESPN booth now. Joining Jeremy and myself, Dr. Dom Paynos. Dr. Paynos, welcome. Welcome to our new salubrious facilities here for the 2012 series. And here we are back at Sebring for the 60th anniversary. And what is it now? 13 ALMS races here as well.
Right. It's my 15th year. And 13 ALMSs that started in '99.
You can't help but sit here, look at this, look at the overhead shots and see how busy the place is, and not have some degree. Oh, Uwe Elson gets a little bit squirrely there going through turn number 3. But you can't help but have some sense of pride about seeing this and seeing that 13 years on, that vision that you had at that first Petit Le Mans in '98 has grown into what we see here.
Right. Well, I think there was just a period of time there that in motor racing, all the racers kind of forgot about the fans. And if you remember our slogan from the very beginning, for the fans. Yeah, Sebring, the answer here was we built new toilets. We gave them showers in Green Park. We got rid of the old pits that blocks were dropping on the crew's heads, and expanded that and gave suites and gave a reasonable facility for people to bring their family and their girlfriends, wives, and to enjoy themselves for a weekend. There was always the base at Sebring. There was always this 60,000 kind of people. The ones that came here when there wasn't a race, for example. But now that base is expanding, and they're bringing more people. They're telling their friends, a great weekend, we had a great time, it was great racing, and this is what you see. But you just have to take care of the people. They march with their feet and they march with their wallets. And if you take care of them, they will come.
64 cars entered for this. We had 63 taking the start. Now, roughly split actually, 50-50 between the American Le Mans Series and the World Endurance Championship. We had Jean Todt in here, the president of the FIA, comes here and not to the World Championship opener for Formula One at Melbourne. That suggests to me, Don, that endurance racing is in pretty good health.
Well, I think it's growing because I think in the last few years we've seen a lot of the stakeholders, the OEMs, come to participate and put cars, and you look at the number of different cars that are here in the GT classes. And, they've had this LMP, LMP1, LMP2, and in our case in the States we have LMPC. But again, mixed with the views of prototypes and stuff, you're seeing a nice battle, honest competitive battle of OEMs to show that their cars can perform. And, nobody's going to buy that LMP going around the corner to put in their garage to go to the grocery store. but they might buy that Ferrari that's there, or that BMW, or that Porsche, because it showed that it can be competitive amongst the other OEMs.
The whole situation with regards to the OEMs is interesting, because some people will tell you and I suppose it's a double-edged sword. If you come to rely on them too much, then if they decide to leave, it leaves a big gap. One of the things about the American Le Mans Series, and indeed endurance racing in more general terms, is the support of the private team. And you've been very careful over the years at the ALMS to ensure that not just these guys, like the lead Audi that's in the pits right now, but also the private teams have been able to take part on a competitive basis,
on a level playing field for everybody. And Audi, God bless them, they've been a stalwart of our series, have been a stalwart of motorsport. But you exactly hit it on the head. Look at the Peugeot situation.
Yes, exactly, and that was a shock for everyone.
Yeah, and I think that this is to show an OEM often their best light, the best technology, and Audi certainly fits the bill for that. But on the other hand, those other cars that are out there with those OEMs, they want to keep their market share, they want to keep their position, then they have to compete with each other. I think they have to.
Now, your latest foray into the world of motorsport is the Nissan Delta Wing. I'll put my hand up straight away. I've said this before. I was very sceptical about it, and to a certain extent, I still am. I'm reserving judgment a little bit. It looks like nothing else. It sounds like pretty much nothing else, particularly nothing else with a 1600cc motor. But my goodness me, it goes like nothing else on earth either. I mean, again, why? You've backed some odd things in the past. Why the Nissan Delta Wing?
Well, if you look at the numbers, half the weight, half the fuel, half the engine size, goes the same speed. So that should be enough right there to say that there is something very interesting about this that we need to carry on further.
Now, at the moment, it's a one-off.
Well, that's the prototype. You have to build the first one. That's the first one.
Correct. So do you foresee a time when cars that look, if not identical to that, something similar to that, would be racing in the general series, or perhaps in a series or a class of their own?
Well, I think that's a very interesting question, because it's one we have to deal with. It is the point that this car, as it is performing now, can do the things we just discussed. Same speed, competitive speed, half the weight, half the fuel, better tire wear.
Yes, much better.
And it's green. I mean, it's green. Even in regards to tires, if you only have to take half the space to ship tires, it's less freight, it's less fuel, so it's all there. But we have to be careful about this, because this is a new, innovative technology. It is showing the way for people to start thinking, just like you said. You admitted it just now. You said this was out of the box.
Yeah.
And you're used to thinking in the box. So being out of the box is an opportunity now to evaluate how this should be approached in the future. I think that they should be able to race together. I think we have to be very careful, as we always do in racing, that you present a level playing field.
Right.
And there has to be also a transitional time. And the transitional time meaning that we have to find out how these cars and people's investments can be still competitive, but as we can start to showcase this new technology, and that they will have the ability to put these cars in their hands in the future.
Could the kind of regulations that we're talking about there, 500 kilograms, 1.6 engine, could that become almost like what used to be called a voiturette class at Le Mans, the light car class? Is there room for that, and to allow people to be creative? They might not all look like the Delta Wing, I'm sure they probably wouldn't. Yeah. But if you had other cars that weighed the same and had the same sort of power, 300 horsepower, then we could race them together and find out who was cleverest, couldn't we?
Yeah, well, if we just look at the car we're seeing on the screen, you got that pointed front nose. If you took off those two side tires and that fender, put little tires in the front, they'd have one.
There you go.
There you go. But this has to be a very logical and thoughtful process to incorporate this. We are going to start building them. Ideally, as we all know, in LMP1 and LMP2 and LMPC, those three classes can use the same cross chassis.
Yeah.
So a delta wing could be an LMP-C, LMP2, or LMP1, but it has to go through a logical process so that you're not ruining people's investment in the cars that we're seeing running.
Yeah,
today.
that's very good and very sensible thought. Don Paydos, thank you very much for joining us. I love talking to you. We just saw a quick flash of Michele Rugolo there in the Krone Racing 57 green Ferrari. That's the leader in the GTE ARM category, the World Championship class. He was off the side of the road just at this point of the circuit. We'll go back on board with the 03 leading the GT category. And if you look behind that Audi, the blue car, there it is. That's the second place car. And behind Leeds is the yellow Corvette. So it is a Porsche sandwich between two Corvettes. Corvettes being the bread and Porsche at the moment being the meat. Dindo Capello is in the lead car. Number 2 Audi leads by 13.5 seconds. And on the screen, first, second and third in GT after still 7 hours to go, but still 5 hours of racing pretty much completed, and that is the battle for first, second and third. Can't complain at how this has worked out over the years. As into the pit lane comes Benoit Treluet from third place in the number 1 Audi. Looks like that is getting some attention to the interior. That would tend to suggest to me that there's been already a driver change. Jamie is down there.
Yes, there has been a driver change at the number 1 Audi. I believe it was Marcel Vasselou that got behind the wheel of the car. However, one of the interesting things to note on Audi is that for the number 2 car, they were able to triple stint the tires, even in the heat of the day. That is going to be huge as it gets hotter this afternoon and when the sun goes down tonight. If they can triple stint tires now, there's no telling what they can do later.
Well, out they go. They look very much in control at the moment, but we know that things can turn very quickly here at Sebring, indeed in any endurance sports car race, and with still just under 7 hours to go. Can't put the dollar in the box now. There's still a long way to go. Capello then by 9.9 seconds from Bernard and Treluet, 2, 3 and 1 the Audi. Simon Pagenaud doing a cracking job, you know. It's only 44 seconds behind the third Audi in 4th position for Muscle Milk. That's the first of the ALMS runners.
I think it'll be less than that when he comes around this time too.
Of course.
Treluet just got himself back on the lead lap after that little miscue they had a little while ago. And that's cars back on the lead lap and now fallen back off the lead lap after that pit stop.
There are your leaders in all 5 of the LMS classes. We've got more racing and more partying to do from Sebring when we come back on ESPN.
What do you drive? Is it inspiring? Was it built by a behemoth car maker? Or insightful craftsmen obsessing over the details, building better cars for a discerning few? Are you one of the few who care about what you drive and how it drives? We're with you because we believe if it's not worth driving, it's not worth building. We build Mazdas. What do you drive?
Hi, I'm Dennis Gage, and I gotta tell you about a smart charging system that keeps my entire fleet of machines on call at all times. It's called Battery Tender, and it's not just for my classic cars. Deltran battery tenders have a microprocessor that monitors everything. It never overcharges. It just takes batteries up to a full charge and keeps them there. So whether it's cars, motorcycles, mowers, or ATVs, Battery Tender keeps them all ready for action. If it's not a Deltran battery tender, it's just a pretender.
The wind can run, but it can't hide.
Presenting the official American Le Mans Series merchandise collection, inspired by the world leader in green racing. Represent your favorite series with authentic event shirts, hats, jackets, and other gear. It's available at every race in Vendor Village and, of course, at ALMS.com.
Welcome back to the 60th anniversary of Sebring. A quick look at the Corvette Corral, which has always been, from the very early days of the American Le Mans Series, a place to go and just enjoy automotive art. Corvette owners know it's American sports car and like to come out with their cars and show the support for these guys. Jan Magnussen on the 03. He is leading the GT category with Ricard Leite still looming large in that blue Porsche in second place. Ollie Gavin playing tail gunner at the moment for Jan Magnussen, and Olivier Beretta's not that far behind either in the 71. That's the... Now, hang on a second. I think there's been a change of position there. I think Beretta's gone past Ollie Gavin because there's a Ferrari in front of Gavin, and I think that's a change there. It is indeed. Beretta has gone through into third place, so the timing screen that I was reading just a couple of moments behind as we went onto that live shot down the Ullman Straight. So let's reset that for you as they go across the line. Magnussen leading GT by about half to 3/4 of a second, and then it's Ollie Gavin back down to fourth with Beretta in third. 03, 77, 71 and 4, your top four, and they're all in that shot. And here comes Beretta for second. He's not by, he's breezed past Ollie Gavin, and he's done the same on a very good driver and car combination, Ricard Leite, for Felbermeyer Porsche. That is not an easy thing to do, and he's made them look ordinary in that last lap. 2 passes in less than a lap.
That is amazing. I mean, he'd been inching closer to that little pack of cars there. Had Olivier Beretta, the distinctive helmet there, the yellow and red helmet of Olivier Beretta, but he's just inched closer, and then he's pounced right away. He's no messing around.
No.
He's made those 2 passes, and now, as you say, up to second place in class, and you can see the gap between himself, or you will do momentarily, is the gap from himself to Jan Magnussen.
There it is.
There it is. What about not even 100 yards, 50 yards or so between those first and second cars. And 1, 2, 3, 4, there they are in GT, and 5 hours and 7 minutes into the race.
Yeah, I think the big lock up there for Ricard Leite. I think Ollie Beretta, the driver from Monaco, and he is of Monegasque descent. He doesn't just live there. He was born there and has a Monegasque passport. He's got target acquired, hasn't he? I don't know what they've fed him since he was last in the car, but somebody will be around to find out what his diet is.
And that's the P2 leader there, Christophe Bouchou, the 055 car making his way through these GT leaders. With number 22, that is the 6th place overall car of Peter Dumbreck for JRM Motorsports, making his way past it as well. So this is tremendous battling going on here, all the way through the field. This is a tremendous motor race, and it's you can see that there's a few more clouds around now, but nothing of any threats whatsoever of rain. So it's going to be a flat-out blind all the way through the end of the race. Fabulous stuff.
Yeah, and look at Beretta. He's carving his way through. He's making sure that anybody who needs to get past him isn't slowing him down. He'll give the Starworks cars a wee bit of room as he comes into turn number 3. But look at the distance he's put on Ricard Leite and Ollie Gavin there. That's a class pair of drivers and cars. And look up ahead, because he's now, well, he's not quite within striking distance, but that is what Jan Magnussen is seeing through his rear view camera. He's got a little screen in front of him, no rear view mirror in the Corvettes. Went to a camera many years ago actually. And even when they run in the darkness, they have a filter on it to be able to not get blinded too much.
And they went to HD as well, pictures
did
on
they?
that. Yeah, a couple of years ago.
And they can put the videos in, of course, as well, the DVD.
Yeah, so this battle as they work their way around the S's here one more time. 03 car is leading the category at the moment, Jan Magnussen, but he's coming under pressure now from Olivier Beretta in car number 71. So once again, it's Chevrolet versus Ferrari, and there in third place is the Porsche.
And again, look, you can see the visual gap is coming down. You don't need a stopwatch anymore. And Jan Magnussen is starting to feel the heat from behind. Scott Atherton, man at the head of the American Le Mans Series, and IMSA has joined us at a very opportune moment I'm not sure. I should ask you this first of all. Do you get to see much of the race? Because you've clearly, particularly with World Championship and Jean Todt, you've got lots of other things to be juggling in the air.
I would love to say yes, and the real answer is sometimes. And unfortunately, today's not one of them. I've got bits and pieces of it, but you need to catch me up. I need the highlight reel here so far.
Well, this is the battle for first and second in GT, and third and fourth are still in the background there. Another season of the American Le Mans Series is Olivier Beretta is going to have a look down the inside, but there goes the 13 Rebellion. Is he going to hold him back? No, he's got the lead. He has got the lead in 4 laps. He's come from 4th to 1st. That is remarkable, but that's the sort of racing, Scott, that we've become used to seeing in the GT category of the American Le Mans Series.
It's been like this, as you know, for a couple of years, and every year we say it's impossible that it could get any more competitive. And you look at the cars and how they've evolved from last year. This is the pinnacle of GT racing on a global level, and it just keeps getting better.
And behind them, the 77 is now under massive pressure from Ollie Gavin. The blue Porsche has Yardley Hastings' finest trying to find room down the inside there, and he doesn't quite get it done as he's trying to go down with the 25 and use him as a pick, if you like, or a screen in basketball terms. It's that time of year, of course, over here for basketball, so that was apposite. Let's just have a quick look back at the pass for the lead in GT at turn number 1, and this was very impressive indeed, Jeremy.
It certainly was, and there's one of the Rebellion P1 cars ahead of the two of them, but Olivier Beretta just, he knew what he had in mind there, and Oliver Gavin, he's not going to make it easy for him, but at the same time, there's no point doing anything stupid. So he could see, and he would have been told that Beretta was absolutely charging. So let him go, tuck him behind him, and try and follow him if he can.
Ollie Gavin's going to have another go at the end of the back straight on this blue Porsche in just a moment's time. Can he get the exit from the Le Mans corner onto that long Ullman straightaway? He's got the power down hard. This is, well, years ago we used to say American attitude and European style, and here's the battle between the two of them, Scott, as they come down at the braking area at Sunset, turn number 17. This is GT third place battle after 5+ hours. Tiny little lock up there was it from Leiters, drifted a little bit wide on the exit.
And the Porsche definitely pulled him a little bit on the straightaway, didn't he? I mean, I think he pulled out a couple of car lengths on that straight. Again, here on the front straight, but through the corners, that Corvette really working well. But Ollie Gavin, he's got his work cut out here to find a way past Ricard Leeds.
64 cars on the entry list, Scott, for Sebring 2012. Split roughly equally between the WEC, and we welcome a World Championship to sports car racing, and the ALMS, in a time when allegedly times are tough, and yet we keep getting new cars, new manufacturers, new drivers wanting to step up into this type of race.
I think it comes back to return on investment, both for the manufacturers, for the teams, for the sponsors, for the event organizers. This is a product that is healthy and working. And you're right, 64 cars, and you're very familiar with what brings such a number here to this race. The good news is, for the balance of the American Le Mans Series presented by Tequila Patron, I think we're going to set another record for overall car count. Somewhere in the 36 to 38, we may even touch 40, and that's for the balance of the season. So this is not an isolated going to happen at Sebring only, and then it radically drops away elsewhere.
Well, indeed, at the next race at Long Beach, we can only have 36 cars there, and we're turning people away.
That's exactly right. And we've got, the Dysons will add another P1 car there. We're expecting the Lotus team with Alex Jobe to come online.
That's exciting.
And more coming at Laguna. We had a big announcement yesterday with Patrick Dempsey, and he's expecting that his program in LMP will begin.
Leeds finally bows to the pressure and loses that position to Ollie Gavin, so the Corvette's now second and third. Sorry, Scott, carry on.
Yeah, no worries. It's I'm having fun watching with you. This is kind of fun.
You need to do more of this. 10 races this season, which is one up on the last couple of seasons. The right time to expand into another marketplace. We're at VIR for the first time this year.
It is, and again, it comes from as much demand by our teams and manufacturers and sponsors that want more content. They want an expanded schedule, and this is something that we have been looking very strategically. We had a couple of different opportunities that we were pursuing, and couldn't be happier about the lock-in with VIR. I think these cars are going to be spectacular at that venue, especially that time of year.
I wonder if these guys are in tyre trouble. They have been pushing very, very hard. one very quick question, Jeremy, before you jump in. Delighted to say we've got Baltimore back on the schedule this year. All kinds of problems with the promoter that had nothing to do with the event itself, effectively, and certainly nothing to do with the city or IndyCar or the American Le Mans Series. Again, quite a brave decision by the city to carry on with that and say, no, it was good enough. We want to do it again, and I think that's brilliant.
You have hit the nail on the head. The success of that event speaks for itself. A sold-out Friday, a sold-out Saturday, a sold-out Sunday. Unfortunately, there were a lot of issues involving the business side with the first group of organizers. I'm happy to report Dale Dillon and Dan Reck, who are both with us here this weekend, are taking what was a fantastic event last year and applying their business acumen to it. And I think we're in very good hands. It still has the support. Mayor Stephanie Rawlings-Clark there was on the first leading edge of support of that race. She fought through a lot of adversity, put herself out there with a big target, and has continued to support it through its difficult times. I think the future's bright in Baltimore.
I spoke to some residents there who just couldn't say enough about it. Jeremy, from you quickly?
Yeah, there seems to be a problem with car number 6. All I'm doing is looking at the lap times.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know why. The last 3 laps have been slow. You did 2 minutes 10, I think, last time around. And 2 minutes 1 before that. This time around, 2 minutes 50. So we'll have to try and find out what is going on with the car number 6, because I don't think it's been on pit lane. Here it is.
Yeah, it's out there on the circuit at the moment with Simon Pagenaud at the wheel. Let's have a listen. That sounds clean. That HPD V8 3.4.
He's fallen from 3rd to 5th place. Rick de Brule.
Yeah, they just came in and made a pit stop. It was just a fuel-only stop. Came in, changed a drink bottle, put in new fuel, and then sent them back out with no trouble.
There we go. And that's why we have the eyes and ears of the ESPN pit crew. Scott, before I let you go back up, by all means, sit here and watch as much of the racing as you want.
Do you mind?
No, not at all. Not at all. We've even got a fridge here now. We're really well set in our new surroundings. A lot of people asking about Petit Le Mans. What do we expect for Petit Le Mans this year? Not part of the ILMC or the World Championship as it is now, but I think you and I have talked about this before, an event that is good enough to stand on its own 2 feet.
No question about it, and our plans for Petit Le Mans are to continue in exactly the same way. We are celebrating what'll be the 15th running, of Petit Le Mans, and it'll be, I think, as spectacular an event as it ever has been, and for sure it will not be part of the World Endurance Championship. But there is no reason to think anything other than great expectations for another spectacular race. The event has grown to become truly one of the iconic endurance trophies in the industry, and none of that will change for 2012.
I said it was going to be the last question. I've just had a tweet or a text in from someone who's listening in at the moment. So Paul Dunk, thank you for this one. The TV package this year, we kind of take it for granted because I'm sitting here watching HD pictures as you are now here in the ESPN booth. But the expansion of traditional TV this year to 4 live races.
It was definitely an upgrade. It was very much a byproduct of response from our fans. If we had the capability in terms of the timing and the availability and the resources to make that part of every broadcast, we would. I think this year's utilization of ESPN3 that we're experiencing right now, I was in the TV compound earlier today. They said last year we capped out at our peak 2 servers within the ESPN3 system. While I was in the truck, they were at 6 and growing. So the embrace of live streaming through ESPN3 is clearly on the upswing. I think, admittedly, we're pioneers in this area and blazing some new real estate. Tomorrow's ABC broadcast, I think, is going to be spectacular based on the race that we're seeing now. And you can look for us to continue to enhance our website, the content that's available there. If you haven't been to ALMS.com, please check it out. There's an amazing amount of content there.
You look ALMS.com, yeah.
Live, views from all the in-car cameras, live time and scoring, being able to listen to you fine guys here.
And the spy cam
The
there.
spy cam, which, I'm still, the jury's out on that. I don't know that we really want to see all that goes on here, but time will tell.
And for those people slightly further afield, a deal with Motors TV for the season as well?
Full season, live Motors TV, same with Rogers TV up in Canada. The ESPN international distribution continues to grow. We'll continue with Fox Latin America and Fox Middle East. So the global television footprint of the series continues to expand. And I know for the majority of our viewers and our fans here in America, they want to see the content continue to expand and availability continue to grow. I was with a fan this morning who was on his iPhone with the Watch ESPN app, and I tell you, it's an incredible experience to be able to have all of that in the palm of your hand. And I think it's not a question of if, but when that becomes commonplace, and we're all going to be watching that way.
Scott, thanks for being with us. As I say, by all means, sit around and watch it. You're safe in here. No one will find you.
You are so well tucked in. I really am. This is like a bunker.
Yeah.
So
we're fine. We've got enough stuff back there, I think, for about 10 days. I think we'll be all right.
We're all good. Before I drop off, I wanted to say that you guys continue to set the mark. I know that there's a lot of folks that wish they had access to all of the content that you guys provide. Those that do, I continue to get those emails saying the coverage and the commentary's never been better, and I couldn't agree more. So well done.
It's very kind of you, Scott. We're the front end, like you are with the American Le Mans Series. We're the front end of a team of very hard-working people behind us, from the guys who plug it all together to the guys in the truck, Billy and Jim and the rest of the guys. And you know that you take any one of those parts out and it affects the sum of the whole. Thanks for being with us.
Well said. Thank you.
So 6 hours and 38 minutes still to run, and there's plenty of history still to be written as far as the 60th anniversary of the Mobil 1 12 hours of Sebring fueled by Fresh from Florida. There is your leader, Dindo Campello, in the yellow trimmed car, and we're watching, if you are watching on the spy cam, look, we've got our little ALMS spotters guide. 3 wide down the back straight. That's the 016 Dyson being passed. Chris Dyson at the wheel by the leader, and we were 3 wide for a moment there. If you haven't downloaded that from ALMS.com, please do. Andy Blackmore, the man who puts it together, had his birthday yesterday. He's a genius, and he continues to supply us in the booth and you the tools to be able to follow along with us and see what's going on. He's been hard at work at that all week. I know many of you have already downloaded that ALMS Spotters Guide, part of that additional content that Scott was talking about a moment or two ago on the all-new, all bright and shiny ALMS.com. It hasn't been sullied too much yet, only been open for business for a little while. ALMS.com, where your favourite sport is only a click away. Now, more penalties. The guys in the pit lane have been busy fueling while the engine was running. Well, that will get the attention of the guys down there, and that is for the 06 car, not the 6, the 06 car. So that is going to attract a penalty for that. There's Dindo with 5 seconds on the field.
And that car was leading in PC, so an inopportune penalty. Well, none of them are opportunistic, but that's certainly bad news for that team, because they've been running out front. EJ Viso driving at the moment.
He might be able to get in and out without losing his lead there. Tommy Treacy's about 90 seconds. No, he's not. He's not actually. I'm doing that mathematics wrong. It's going to be tight. He's about 40 seconds ahead of Tommy Treacy. And that's a great battle that's going on in that prototype challenge category as well. The Lotus about to go a further lap back. The 31 car, debut for the Collis and Cordua organisation with the Lotus Lola in those iconic colours from the past. We've got a lot of very good colour schemes here. Lotus seem to have their name on a lot of things at the moment and will return with their own car to the American Le Mans Series, as Scott Atherton was saying, with Alex Job, multiple champion team in GT classes in the past in the American Le Mans Series. The Evora comes in with Townsend Bell on the driving strength from Long Beach onwards. Spoke to Alex a few weeks ago on the radio show, and he was very, very excited about that. It hasn't been an easy deal to put together, but then again, what deals are And there was a time when I thought that deal had gone away, but they have been tenacious. Bill Sweedler involved in that, went across to Lotus. And by the way, we should give a shout there for the GTC and the IMSA GT3 Cup, because that's how Bill Sweedler came to this series. And that is the absolute ladder system. And Bill went across there, sat down with the guys at Hethel and made sure that worked. Well, we've got more racing to come for you, just the mere 6 hours and 35 minutes. Let's look back at history, 1962 and 63.
Another Ferrari win was on tap at Sebring in 1962, despite some tenacious competition from Porsche. The overall win would go to Joe Bonnier and Lucien Bianchi, who took the lead and finished with a 10-lap margin of victory in their 250 Testarossa. Ferrari again crushed the competition at Sebring in 63. In the 12th running of the Sebring 12-hour, a 65-car field attracted an incredible list of cars and drivers. Phil Hill made a brief statement for Carroll Shelby by leading the first lap in a Cobra. But after that, Pedro Rodriguez and Graham Hill took their Ferrari 330 into the lead, battling for the next several hours with the two factory 250p entries. On the 146th lap, John Surtees took his Ferrari into the lead, and with co-driver Ludovico Scarfiati, and won with a one-lap margin. Ferrari closed out the top 6 positions. While disappointing for the Shelby Cobras, they would soon prove themselves to be a true contender.
On board with the BMW number 155, and that looks like it's outbound from the pit lane. Yes, he is. Steady stream of guests today has kept us on our toes. I've enjoyed it, actually, Jeremy, to be honest.
Fun, isn't it?
Great honour to have one of the most important people in the world here, Patrick Dempsey, of course. No, Jean Todt, of course, is what I'm talking about. I'm sure there's a lot of our listeners and viewers would have liked to have been sitting in our seat when Patrick Dempsey was sitting next to us. Charming gentleman, always has been.
I think Adrian probably got out during that stint. He did a good job there. He was running some very, very competitive lap times. And again, talking to him a week or so ago, he was saying, you know, he's still very, very new to this GT car. Darren Turner and Steph Mucker taught him a lot. And he said, you know, by the end of the 3rd day of the test at Road Atlanta, he was within a tenth or two of their times. He did say he wasn't as consistent as they were, but he said that would come with more time in the car. And I think that stint here just proved it. A really good stint by Adrian Fernandez. I think he's probably handed over the wheel again to Darren Turner, but I'm not sure about that.
Yes, he has. Well done.
Okay, fine.
It's just getting used to the additional weight and the weight transfer on the car.
Completely, and that's absolutely right. And you know, it brakes differently, it turns in differently. It's different to put the power down, as you say, a good bit heavier as well. But he said it's a really, really nice car to drive.
Well, we're talking GTs, we're talking cars at the sharp end of GT. Ollie Gavin. Let's go down to Rick de Bruyl, who can talk us through this stop.
Tommy Milner gets out. You can see he's been a fairly smooth for today so far. You know, it's interesting. He was talking about the fact that he has been on the podium here a number of times, but he has never had a chance to stand on that top step. That is something he wants to do. Oliver Gavin gets out. Milner in the car now. So far, things have gone smoothly for this team in terms of the way things are going all day long. Like I mentioned earlier today, the team was hoping for a trouble-free run in the middle of the day, and that's exactly what they're getting. They send it down off the jack, new tires, a load of fuel, and the crew applauding because they've done it so well.
And they just keep doing that. They really do. The pit stop competitions that we used to have in the American Le Mans Series ended up becoming just an internecine tournament between the two Pratt & Miller teams. Built themselves a gym back at the headquarters with one of the prize checks that they got in the early years of that pit stop competition.
Interesting, they're changing drivers at most of the stops that the Corvettes are making.
It's that thing, isn't it? You've got to change the tyres. You very seldom see double stints on tyres in GT cars because they go pretty much an hour. So if you're going to change the tyres, you might as well change the driver as well.
Yeah.
That's the thinking behind that. That's what they've always said to me.
Yep.
And again, remember what we've just said. These are big, heavy cars.
Yeah.
They take some hustling. Yes. The number one. Again, this is the same as last time. Now, we saw this happen last time and they had to change the memory chip. Has he Run out of memory again.
Forgotten how to accelerate. It looks a bit.
Yeah, exactly. Very good.
You can see the 3 lights on the side of this car. So that is indeed a third place car in the overall.
The number 1 Audi team, they've been struggling with a little bit of a misfire. Earlier what happened was they had to come in and reset the ECU on the car. They switch out that memory card in every pit regardless. That is their data logger that the ACO mandates. So they will switch that out no matter what. But what caught him off guard was at the point in the track where Marcel Fassler, I believe was in the car, noticed that he needed to be reset. It was so close to pit lane, he went ahead and came down, and it caught the team off guard. But they are struggling with that still, so it's certainly something to keep an eye on as the race progresses.
Okay. Thank you, Jamie. And again, exactly the same as we saw. This is not a replay, but it has horrible repercussions, because chasing electrical problems is not what you want in any car, be it a road car or a race car. Well, he's carried on. Now, I'm surprised at that. Now, is he back up to speed? I would say not, because the Corvettes behind him, with due respect to them, are catching him, and that is not a normal state of affairs. Well, he's gone past pit lane. That to me is a very odd decision. And very frustrating, I would have thought, for Marcel Fassler.
And with the number 6 car, Simon Pagenaud, had been absolutely flying. He just made I'm not sure, he made a pit stop 3 laps ago. A cut tyre apparently has dropped that car now from 3rd place down to 5th.
Thank you.
So an unscheduled
was that Twitter
stop for
again,
Simon.
was it?
Yes, it was. Well, I noticed it had gone wrong, so I must admit, I looked it up on yes.
No, you see, we use all of the technology.
Yeah, we've got all sorts of things to look at it here, that's for sure.
Into the pit lane comes the 71, Olivier Beretta. He was in the lead of GT when he came in. It was a meteoric run through the field.
And Olivier Beretta has brought the number 71 Ferrari to a stop. They are doing a driver change. Andrea Bertolini now getting behind the wheel of the car. The team's going to get him a fresh set of Michelins as well. When Olivier was in, he was able to double stint. The team just put in a new driver, so they want to make sure he has a fresh set of tires so that he can go out and get the car set up exactly the way he wants. This team, though, because they're based in Europe, they're working with a different set of pit rules. Some of the team crew members do have small cameras on the top of their helmets. They did the same when they raced in the United States last year. So over the winter, they went back and rewatched that footage so that they could make sure that when they came back for this race, their pit stops were as efficient as possible, and it was a perfect pit stop for AF Corsa.
First team I ever saw utilising video technology was Bentley at Le Mans in 01, 02 and 03. Now they did it with handheld video recorders and things thrown up on the pits, and they would analyse between pit stops of how they're done. Hey, they might hold on the lead here. They might. It's going to be tight. He's on the gas now. He gets out. I tell you what, he's just about going to no, he's going to hold on to it.
Yeah, but
going to have to defend very, very stoutly. He puts the car in the middle of the road. He's kind of tempting the Corvette, and the Corvette takes the opportunity to go through. And Antonio Garcia, excuse me. Andy Garcia, I'm back to the actors again. Has gone through. Tommy Milner's in the 4 car, and he's been held up. So that is still, though, a pretty good run for that AF Corsa car. Just going to give it up, is he? Last of the lid brake, isn't he? He's last of the lid brake himself. Cold tyres.
Wow, Andrea Bertolini, we wouldn't expect somebody of his experience to do something like that. A multiple GT1 champion, of course, mainly for Maserati. But a long-time Ferrari driver as well.
And look at Mark Lieb. Look at Mark Lieb. He's right in there as well. Battling on the back of Tommy Milner's car for what is now 2nd place. So that was the first 4 in GT as they went into the hairpin. And Bertolini has rather thrown that away. Also in the pit, Dindo Capello out of the lead for Audi.
Lap 156, that's a
long time for the fuel to go in.
Just about right, 23 laps on that stint.
And that was just fuel. And Dindo fires up the diesel. Remember, you must stop the engine when you're being refueled. That's the jeopardy of sports car racing. I love that. You know, even at the last pit stop with, let's say, 45 minutes to go, 40 minutes to go, the car comes in, you must turn off the engine. It must restart under its own onboard power. You're not allowed to have a starter or an outside battery.
Did they change? They didn't change tyres?
No tyres, just fuel, diesel only. That's the jeopardy of sports car racing that makes it, to me, so much more interesting. Get a bit of extra heat sink and the engine won't crank, or the battery's gone flat, and all of a sudden all that hard work over 12 and a quarter hours can be thrown away. 11 and a quarter hours, excuse me, or 23 and a half. We've seen that happen before. Cars that restart with half an hour to go at Le Mans, and that is a real heartbreak. I haven't talked about the GT AMS for a little while, and just seeing that Corvette there reminds me that the Labre competition Corvette, Julien Canal, is leading from the 88. It's the second of the Felbermeyer cars, the blue car. It's Gianluca Roda who's in that car. But he's not quite on the lead lap. Second of the Corvette Labre cars in third. What's happened to the 70? What's happened to the Krone Racing car? Well, answer, it's dropped down to 4th place.
Yeah, quite a few laps behind too. They'll cost them 10 laps somewhere.
In the pits, the number 1 Audi, and now dropped down to 4th position when Marcel Fester come through. That means Nick Heidfeld has gone through into 3rd in the Rebellion Lola. And just a note actually about that Lola. I was checking through some paperwork. That cheese wedge problem that a couple of cars had earlier on, it's kind of like Jubilee clips at the back of the Lolas, and the record, and I knew I'd read this somewhere, the record for them changing the rear clip set on a Lola is 12 seconds. So Jeremy was very right about how design can follow function. There goes Dindo Capello, and he's well ahead of his teammate. Timo Bernhard has inherited the lead, of course, in the... Oh, now he's just lost that again, and Jamie's down in the pit lane because this number 1 car has struggled back to the pit lane.
Yes, it seems the number 1 Audi is still struggling with the ECU issue that they had earlier. They came into the pits at the same time as the 3 car. The 3 car did fuel and tires only and beat him out by a mile. They shut the door on the number 1 car, and they did get it back out.
Did that extra lap when I wasn't sure they needed to. So as the 3 car was coming out, Timo Bernhard there, we were looking for Dindo, and Dindo went through back into the lead.
He did go into the lead, yeah.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Number 1 car chugging down pit lane on the speed limiter of the red accoutrement. No, he's going behind the wall. He's going behind the wall.
Wow.
And then there were 2.
And there were 2, indeed. That car, he'd already fallen off the lead lap a little while ago, and we've had twice now that car has sort of almost ground to a halt out on a racetrack, but not quite. They've been able to limp it back to the pits, but clearly now they realise that there's something more amiss with that car. They're going to take it behind the wall. I'm sure it'll come out again later on. I presume it'll come back later on again. But in the meantime, it's Nick Heidfeld for Rebellion Racing up into 3rd place.
Wants to come back out again, Jeremy, because that's one of the 2. The 1 and the 2 cars are the full season entrance.
That's true, isn't it?
For the WEC.
So they're the 3 cars that can score points.
Yeah, the three, and only the best placed of the cars scores points for manufacturers. So that's not so much of a problem. But the 1 and the 2 are the full season entries. The 3 cars, the additional entry here. Let's see. 0.55 with Joao Barbosa leading P2 for level 5 again. Looking very relaxed behind the steering wheel, as good drivers, as we mentioned earlier on, tend to.
He's only about 18 seconds ahead of Pierre Caffer, who's now at the wheel of the Picon Racing entry, and Stefan Sarazin for Starworks Motorsports is only about the same distance back in 3rd place. And Dominic Kreihammer, we saw, he's actually not in P2, but Dominic Kreihammer, he lost a couple of laps about 20 minutes ago with the car number 15.
I've got to give a mention to
Racing Pescarola.
Got to give a mention to the number 12 Rebellion Racing car, Jeremy, because they're up into 3rd now with Nick Heidfeld. And last lap around he did a 58, which was a little bit away from what we've seen him doing recently. But that car, and I said it earlier on in the broadcast when we had the problems with the 13 car, Bart Hayden and the guys couldn't buy any decent look last year. The car is clearly a nice package. It runs a Toyota engine on the Lola chassis. They're running last year's cars under the waiver that you can in the WEC for one race. And they'll have their update kits for Spa. And, you know, that car running heavy, so it's more likely to break, as in comes the 21 Stracker of Nick Leventis from 10th place in P1, 14th overall. So it's running heavy, which is more likely to break things. And it's just gone about its business. I'd love to see those guys on the podium overall in a WEC race, and they might even do better than that. They are only a couple of laps behind the Audi, and a couple of laps around here is less than 5 minutes. So any problems?
I think it's only still one lap, actually. I don't think they're even 2 laps down.
Yeah, I think you might be right, actually. Yeah, 2 seconds between the leading pair, and there is Dindo Capello just picking his way through. Again, big lock up down at the hairpin. Now, did whoever do that get it back, or did they spear off into the boonies? Answer, they got it back, because there was no yellow flags waving there as we scan through. GT, quick run down there. Antonio Garcia in the 03 from Tommy Milner by less than 0.2 of a second. In fact, as I say that, Tommy Milner has overtaken his teammate, and now it's the Ford Corvette that leads from the 03. Mark Lieb is only 0.6 further back in third, so by the time I've said that, it may have changed.
Yeah, not even further back. That's the gap from first to third with 0.6 of a second.
Yes, that's right. You're quite right.
And after that mistake, then Andrea Bertolini is about 7 seconds back in fourth place now.
In fifth, the 155 GT of Bill Oberlin, still on the lead lap. Jonathan Summit and his teammate in sixth in the 56 BMW, still on the lead lap. And I'm just looking, yes, Darren Turner comes through, 40 seconds away or thereabouts, 37 from the lead in GT. 7th position for Aston, still on the lead lap.
Yeah, those 7 cars still battling away, John.
Yeah, that's really, really important. The P2 battle, Barbosa from Kaffa, from Saracen, from Craiama, as Jeremy said. In GTC, the leading car is now Dion von Moltke in the 023 Alex Job Racing car.
Yikes, that was a bit of a moment there for Timo Bernhard, I think, in the second. Yeah, car number 3 just coming back there. There were 2 other P1 cars he was dicing with going into that corner. And it was a little bit fraught there, but he managed to get through. I think it probably cost him a little bit of time, however.
Fessler still in the pit lane in the number 1 Audi as Dindo Capello continues to certainly. He's gone behind the wall, yes, excuse me. So we will await news from our pit crew of what is going on there.
Simon Pagenaud is trying to close in again on
fastest lap last time around of all the leaders, 50.4.
Yeah, and it's 46 seconds behind Heinfeld now after that unscheduled stop to change a cut tyre. And Simon, about 20 laps ago now, set a 148.1, which is precisely 0.3 of a second slower than the fastest lap of the race overall. That is remarkable. Simon has really been flying in that Muscle Milk HPD. And what's interesting to me is that the top 3 cars, the 3 Audis, I should say, all of them turned a 1 minute 47.8. Actually, I lied. Actually, a couple of laps ago, Timo Bernhard just at 147.4. But prior to that, all 3 cars, their best lap had been 147.8. But 2 laps ago, on lap 1 or 3 or 4 laps ago, Timo Bernhard did a 147.4. So new fastest lap of the race, set it just a few laps ago. But Simon Pagenaud still is charging along there. 148.0 this time around for Simon Pagenaud. Quicker again. That is absolutely remarkable. Flying is Simon Pagenaud. He's pulled 7 seconds back from Nick Heidfeld on that last lap alone.
When he gets the bit between his teeth, there are few people better, really.
He's a star. He's a lovely guy, Simon Pagenaud. He really is a gem. He'd been racing in Europe. He'd run Formula Renault 3.5, and he took a chance to come over here and race in the Atlantic Series when it was part of the Champ Car envelope there, and there was a $2 million or $1 million prize to move on up from that, and he just beat Graham Rahal, it was actually, to the championship. Got an opportunity to drive for Derek Walker's team in Champ Car, and has never really looked back. He's made opportunity after opportunity for himself since then. That's a result of both his personality and the fact he can drive a racing car extremely quickly.
Said there'd been some damage earlier on to the Green Hornet Porsche. Someone with better eyes than me has just tweeted me. I can't work out the Roman numerals on that. DCL X1V. We'll have to work that one out. DCL X1V. Anyway,
look at that. I'll tell you.
Its own air hose was what caused the problem.
600.
And 4 on the end.
14, yeah, 614.
So it was the own air hose that damaged that rear wing. Thank you.
Right. So we're almost halfway through. 10 minutes away from the half distance mark in this absolutely tremendously interesting motor race, and you can see from the pictures there, just there's a huge crowd of people making their way in and moving. Yeah,
a cloud
cover. Scattered clouds are around now, but it's still pretty warm, I presume, out there. Air conditioned in here, I have to confess. But we've still got just 2 seconds between the two leaders. Dindo Capello leads from Timo Bernhard, who has been closing in a little bit. Last time around, both of them in the 1:48s. So Bernhard is pushing Capello pretty hard here. And they are still I think they probably are now 2 laps ahead of Nick Heidfeld in 3rd place. Quite sure where they are relative to each other on the racetrack, I must admit. Try and check that next time they come through.
Some news from the paddock, and I can say that, is the number 1 car is again, it's gear selection problems with that car.
Yeah, is it?
So they can't get it to switch gear. Yeah, absolutely. It works, it doesn't work, it works, it doesn't work. Now that may well be an electrical problem, something not talking to something else. Just a bit of news away from the track at the moment, which is of great interest. Those of you who follow what we do on RadioLeMans.com will know that we had a very good chat with Gerard Neveu as part of our, who's the man at the head of the WEC, as part of our WEC preview. And he has said that in the past that WEC races should be standalone races. He's just reiterated that here, not to say that there won't be a North American race, but it would be a standalone race in the future.
Well, if they've got enough cars to do it, maybe, but...
well, there'll only ever be 30 cars in WEC.
Well, quite. That's why I think this is brilliant as it is right now.
And but in fact, unfortunately, all the drivers shout about it, and they say there's too many cars on track.
Cracking. Yeah, well, yeah, again, the European mentality. They want to put on a show for the fans, or they want to put on a show for themselves. Let me just say, though, that Heidfeld and Pagenaud, they are still just 1 lap down, but Pagenaud is in danger, though. I think that Capello and Bernhard are not too far behind him, and they're trying to put Pagenaud another lap down, but not quite been able to do that yet.
GT battle goes through. Milner, Lieb in 2nd place, Garcia in 3rd, Corvette, Porsche, so that's changed around again. Yeah, as whilst I was talking.
And hanging on right behind him too is a Flying Lizard Porsche. Of course, a long delay at the start of the race after that fairly strange accident on the run even before the green flag, coming into Sunset Bend, the final corner on the final.
But they're up to 13th in GT, and there's some WEC, there's quite a lot of WEC cars ahead of him. Oh, and there, off goes the 71 car. That's Bertolini again at the same point.
He'd made up most of the ground, a lot of the ground there, and now he's thrown it all away again.
Was he distracted by the traffic down the inside? Here comes Leeds again. He does.
And look
right again, excuse me.
And Bergmeister in that number 45 Flying Lizard guy is hanging on. He's been right with this group all the way through this stint. So that car still running very, very quickly, or capable of running very, very quickly. Unfortunately, of course, it's quite a long way down. It's about, I think it's about 153 to, so 27 laps off the lead. It's kind of still in pit lane.
Yes.
Is that on schedule?
I'm not showing as in the pits on the scoring
No,
monitor
it's
either.
done that several times lately. It's showed a car not in
Now,
pit
has he
lane.
come back out again? .2 seconds the gap was between Dindo and Timo, so that will have changed over. And well, that was a bit of a strange one for me. Very, very odd indeed.
Got me.
6 minutes, if only 6 hours still to go. And I think we're going to find that Timo Bernhard's just gone into the lead, unless that was a replay that we flashed up there. I wonder if that maybe was a replay from earlier and we've got ourselves confused. If so, I do apologise. It's an easy thing to do. See if we can pick up the leader out there. Jeremy Shaw and John Hindhaugh, dazed and confused in the middle of the race. Why should be any different in the middle of the race to when it is anywhere else before anyone else says it? This is one of those races though, Jeremy, is there's the Lotus packet again. It doesn't seem too long since that one was in. We were talking, I think, to Dr. Don Panos, weren't we, when that was in last time around, and got all that work done to the canards on the left front underneath the headlight. This is one of those races, not necessarily door-to-door racing, and you know, not like a 20-lap sprint. It's, you know, open park.
Apart from in GT.
Well, apart from GT, but that we expect that. We'd expect nothing different. And yet, it still has my attention here because I feel at any moment it could kick off, and at any moment, anything in the top half a dozen places goes wrong for a car. It has severe implications, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, it does. And you know, we've seen we've seen a little while ago there were all sorts of shenanigans going on there out on track. I guess that was a couple of hours ago now, or almost 2 hours ago, when we saw the leaders in PC have a problem and in GT and all sorts of dramas. It's settled down a little bit since then, but still we've got this battle going on. Just 2 seconds between the two Audis at the front of the field. The battle for third and fourth place. Simon Pagenaud lost it when he had to come in and make a unscheduled pit stop to change a punctured tyre, but again he is charging back. He's got that gap down from, it was about 45 seconds, only it's about 10 minutes to go, down to just over half a minute right now.
So we're looking at the forward-looking camera from Paul Miller Racing.
Obviously it must have been a replay of some sort of that car number 2 in pit lane.
Yeah, I know what it is now.
You do?
Yes.
You can tell me. Just a replay that we didn't catch the word of that was going on, but it is the situation at the same at the front of the field. Just 2 seconds between Didier Capello and Timo Bernhard in car numbers 2 and 3 respectively, and Nick Heidfeld in third place.
Stay on board with the Paul Miller car, and just for a little while we're going to take a breath or so and let you enjoy the pictures and the sounds from Sebring 2012 as we look forward from the 48 Paul Miller Racing Chopard Porsche, and in fact now from the 55 BMW. Enjoy a selection of onboard cameras and sounds from here at Sebring. Into turn number 17 for the 155 BMW. Bill Oberlin at the wheel. He comes across to complete his 156th lap. Now heading to P2, and the leader in category, Joao Barbosa. There he is. You've just heard the BMW engine. Now listen to the HPD. Looking backwards from Antonio Garcia, and that could only be a Corvette. Listen to that growl. Short shifting there coming out of the hairpin, by which I mean not using all of the revs that are available to him, trying to kill the wheel skip spin. The GT cars of course do have traction control nowadays, and very, very advanced traction control too. Let's head to 4th place Simon Pagenaud, 2nd in the non-diesel category, first ALMS car. 3.4 V8 HPD. Wow, he holds on to the power a very long time going into turn 17, doesn't he? That is scary quick in a prototype. And look how little, we're just about at driver's eye level there. Look how little you can see. Now, decision time. Left, right or middle? 2 Porsches ahead. On and off the throttle. Now, with almost exactly half of the race gone, let's head down into the pit lane. Taro is our new voice on ESPN3. First 6 hours of the 12 hours gone. What's your impressions, Taro, and how does it compare with what you're normally watching, which would be drifting, of course?
Well, first of all, I have the utmost respect for you guys. I don't know how you do this. I'm absolutely overwhelmed with this excitement. But I have a simple question. I think coming from drifting, a brand Falcon is synonymous with drifting, grassroots and pro. And here I only see one of their cars, a GT car. Why could that be?
Well, it's a good question. Building race tyres is not an easy thing to do, and Falcon took the decision that they were going to enhance themselves by building race tyres, and so the best way to go and do it was to go and run their own team, and that's exactly what they did. And Jeremy, what they were very clever about was taking the car pretty much out of the equation. A known quantity, a Porsche, you buy it, you fire it up, it runs. Therefore, if you're 5 seconds off the pace, so long as you've got decent drivers and a decent team, then it's not the car's fault. And, you know, that's quite brave in some respects, but they've put themselves out there, and it paid dividends last year, did it not?
It certainly did, because their dry weather tyres have just been getting better and better and better, and their wet weather tyres, as we saw at Mid-Ohio last year, were absolutely the class of the field by quite a long way. I mean, the closing stages of the race at Mid-Ohio were wet, and Wolf Henschler just passed everybody. He might even have won the race overall if it had gone on a little bit longer. I mean, that's how fast he was going relative to everybody else. And then a few weeks later at Baltimore, we saw that the dry weather tyres are very competitive as well.
So to answer the
wins in 1 year. So.
Yes, absolutely, and challenging one of the the big names in automotive tyres, which would be Michelin
and
Dunlop as well in that category. It's very, very competitive. And I think, Taro, to answer your question, in drifting, I think you guys tend to use street tyres. These guys are developing technologies that will improve street tyres in not so long a time, maybe as little as a couple of years' time. What they find out on the racetrack, all of the major tyre companies, including Falcon, will trickle back down again. It may be another season, but I think you'll see some more cars running the Falcon brand. There was even a chat of a second Falcon car this year that hasn't quite materialised, but I think that may happen in the future.
Yeah, no, certainly Derek Walker would love to add a second car to that program, and just having more cars just gives more information for Falcon to be able to develop their tyres even further. But certainly they made great strides. They have struggled a little bit, however, this weekend. We saw last year that Wolf Henschler was very, very quick here, but the tyres weren't as durable as they needed to be. So they were very quick early on, and then they went away, and he lost pace relative to the other contenders. They've, I think, got good durability now, but as yet, just for this particular racetrack, they don't seem to have quite the ultimately fast tyre as some of the other guys do. But on many of the other tracks, they certainly are right there on the pace with both the Michelin and Dunlop contenders.
Back on board with the 55, the 155 BMW. You've got the spy cam with us here. Hello to you if you're watching. You really need to have the spy cam where the real work goes on, which is over there in the other truck, and be able to listen to what's going on as well, because I think that would be tremendously entertaining if you could hear what was going on in my ears sometimes. Jeremy?
Yeah, no, Nick Heidfeld is in the pits. It looks like a fairly long stop there for car number 12.
Well, that's a shame, because they'd been up to third place on pace.
Yeah, indeed, and now they've dropped back quite a long way. So we'll see. 4 minutes 20 the last time around. So that included that pit stop, I think. Neil Jani has taken over the wheel, but clearly some sort of a miscue there in the pit stop, or a long lap coming into the pits.
Well, Sam Smith of Lola, and hello to him and to Dave Scott. He mentioned his name earlier on, back in the UK. So I just wonder if we can get some news from him in the moment. Karen Chandok, it says, tweeting mid-race is a new thing for me. Yeah. Yes, didn't normally be able to get it. If you were tweeting mid-race in his former life as a Formula 1 driver, things had gone very wrong at that point. Done my first three. Full course caution out.
Number 5 of the day.
Thank you. And it is for the 37 car.
Again?
Yes, sadly.
That was the last one. Second course.
This is the Conquest Endurance racing car.
It's pretty safe there, isn't it?
So, just under half distance left, so 5 hours and 56 minutes if you see that on the top of the screen. Now, need to do a bit of housekeeping for those of you watching on ESPN3. For our archive purposes, we need your assistance if you want to keep watching after the break. So when we come back after the break, please rejoin us by going back to ESPN3 and launching the 12 Hours of Sebring Part 2 from the schedule on the ESPN3 homepage. Now, that only applies if you're watching, obviously, on ESPN3, but you need to effectively refresh and start watching again from the start of Part 2. Hope that makes sense to you if you're watching. And we'll be back with some more action from Sebring and this fantastic 60th anniversary. The atmosphere and the race still has plenty to give.
Usually, when a car maker turns one of its models into a race car, they have to add power. But when Chevrolet wanted to race the 638 horsepower Corvette ZR1 against Porsche, Ferrari, and BMW, we were asked to dial it back. Oh, about 168 horsepower. You know, just to be fair.
Duck. Duck. Goose.
Our technology builds some of the best tires in the world. Because when it comes to performance, we don't just play around.
Cheater, we said no 360s.
Who's up for some leapfrog?
When it comes to fun family getaways, it's got to be Holiday Inn Club Vacations. Room to be yourself.
The American Le Mans Series, presented by Tequila Patron. The fusion of man, mind, and machine in the ultimate test, where the fight for first is around every corner and the sole focus of every driver. It's 100% adrenaline because the battle for the win is everything. And there's only one place in North America to see the thrills of Le Mans. It's the American Le Mans Series, presented by Tequila Patron. Coming at you on ABC, ESPN2, and ESPN3.